So I went out this morning.
All right. Good morning. Today is the regularly scheduled Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, January 27th. It's a couple hours late due to the storm we just had. Hope everybody survived. And you know, we'll be digging out for a while, but it is 10:34. You have in front of you today's agenda. Could I get a motion to approve today's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. And then public comments. Is there anyone? It says members of the public are welcome to provide comments to the Board of Selectmen on agenda topics scheduled for review and or vote. Comments submitted electronically should be sent to the following email address: bosdistribution@newcanaanct.gov. And there's no one online or in public that wants to speak. So let's move on to our budget review. Today is the final review and discussion of the budgets for fiscal year 2027 before our vote on Thursday. And I guess we'll start off with the fee memos. And I don't know who wants to go first. Hold on, let me get up the budget schedule. To the budget documents. So today's fee memo, do we want to start with, let's see, fee memo for building and DPW? Why don't we start there? Since those are the first two in my folder.
Is this right under
budget? Yeah, the budget folder, and then go all the way to the bottom because the fee memos are down there.
Yeah, when you said this one, no.
Yeah, I know. I like all these files. Okay, so oh wait, I have the building department first.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right.
That's you, Scott. Sorry, I'm like, this is your memo, Scott. This is your memo. I'm like, wait, where's Bill? And then I'm like, no, these are Scott's. Sorry.
We're not changing that.
Okay, well, just let us know that. Let the public know that.
All right.
All right, so we have a fee memo here on your tablets from the building department. So these are the exact same fees as last year?
Yeah, we're keeping everything the same.
Okay, so I guess there's nothing. Does anybody have any questions? All right.
Just
great.
maybe for the public, what these fees represent. I mean, while it's here, just to read through them, I guess. I gotta be honest, I didn't.
Okay, I have it. I have it here. So there is a fee schedule for permits. The residential permits are $75 for the first 1,000 project value, $10 per 1,000 of project value thereafter. And then commercial permits are $75 for the first $1,000 of project value and $12 per $1,000 of project value thereafter. And then so that's that.
Just of it.
And then, right. And then there's, sort of the minimum. So there's some minimum fees in here.
Yeah,
the valuation, the minimum fees.
The big fees, that's the residential and the commercial covers.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
And then there's a demo fee for buildings 50 years or old. Let's see, 30,000 for older than 50 years and 50 years and under 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why are those different? Why are the older ones more expensive than the newer ones? Is it materials?
More that gets involved. You have to do all kinds of remediation and disconnects of the electric and the sewer is a lot. It's just more intense for the older ones than it is.
But this would be the fee you're paying to the town. Then the owner would then have to pay to have someone demolish it, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just an easier to
monitor. You're going to have more monitoring of an older building than a newer building.
Construction of a newer building rather than an old one stone.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
That's it. Thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Thanks for coming
thank you,
out.
Scott.
Appreciate it.
All right. Sorry about that, Tiger.
Oh, that's okay.
And Maria. All right. So the next one is DPW.
All right, good morning. So Maria will talk you through admin and engineering, and then I'll discuss transfer station, and then she'll close with the wastewater plant.
Good morning. Our permits, which go through OpenGov, which have made the process. Some of our fees have changed and some haven't, and I'll just go through them. Our driveway permit has a history of, the last time it was changed was over 5 years ago in July of 2020, where we were at $250. Given the amount of engineering and site visits that entail with modifications to curb cuts, people either looking to add to their driveway, relocate their driveway, the engineering that's needed for site distances, et cetera. We felt that this was actually one of the fees that did need to be modified, and we're suggesting a modification of $500. It's a one-time fee for that one curb cut. And we think that it's fair and just for the amount of work that we need to do with.
So this is only for people doing a new or relocating. If you're just
Correct.
resurfacing, or you won't have to pay any.
No,
No,
we
nothing.
treat that as maintenance. So
Okay.
if someone has stone and wants to pave it, if they are not extending the extents of their current driveway, they are not modifying their curb cut, that is just considered maintenance
Okay.
for us. And so there is not a separate
Okay.
permit.
So does your, do we limit who's allowed to do curb cuts? We don't like curb
Absolutely.
going. And
We don't always give a yes.
Sure. Okay, and then if someone, for instance, they're not affecting their curb cut, right? But they maybe want to make something a little bigger or do a curve or something, that any modification to your current driveway, you need the permit, or is it only when you kind of deal with the curb?
It's within reason. If someone has a very tight radius into their driveway and they're looking just to do a little bit of a sweep in our right of way, we usually don't have any issue with that. If they are looking to move their driveway over 5 feet because it will align better with their house, or a sweep of the driveway, at that point, we do take a closer look. We need to make sure for fire hydrants, for utility poles, for site distances, for any obstacles, that there isn't a challenge. And as soon as that kind of triggers that work, then it would be a permit needed.
Right.
So is what triggers it is the intersection with our roads,
Right.
right? So if people want to do something on their property, is, to make it a bigger parking up high or do a curb, that's different or not? They have to come to
They
you.
will not need a driveway permit, because this is really also known as a curb cut permit.
Right.
They potentially might trigger our drainage policy if they're
it.
expanding the footprint. And so
Thank you.
that would be something
That gets
different.
into a different permit. you know,
Right.
But this here is just the accommodation in the right of way. And
Okay.
to Maria's point, we've had driveways where Maria, myself, and members of the highway department had to go out 2-3 times to the site just to modify the driveway and get it to work. So we feel that this is a very modest increase that is warranted.
Do you know, it just because it's a doubling of the fee, the last fee was implemented in 2020. Before, prior to that, do you remember how much?
150. And in 2015, it was increased to 150.
So
That's
every 5 years.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot, it looks like there's 6. You expect 6 next year.
Well, that's
I guess.
because all our properties are quite developed, is what the challenge is when you want to relocate a driveway or add a new curb cut. So that's kind of why we feel that this is warranted.
And that's historically about where you've done about, is that number where you say additional revenue of 3,000? You have history on that? Is that how you?
So we can pull up the tallying from OpenGov,
Yeah.
and we can actually provide
Okay.
that to you, those
Okay.
numbers.
I would think it's a more of a rarity based on the way you describe it.
Correct.
12 and when is it? We have 7,000. How many homes do we have?
Yeah.
So,
It's
12.
quite rare.
Yeah.
We don't get called out that often.
okay, all right.
We have no proposed change to our sewer connection permit. The history of that is July 2015, it was increased to $200. July 2020, it was increased to $300. And we're actually calling to maintain that, no change. The sewer connection permit is literally when we have to go out and observe the connection from a private lateral into our main. And so our sewer department will go out there and observe and make sure that the connection looks good before they backfill. Street opening permit. So this one is for work within our right of way that is not associated with a driveway with a curb cut. So it could be for
Sorry, can we
utilities.
just go back
Sure.
real quick? So because we have staff who's, every year their salary goes up. I mean, to me, I don't understand why this wouldn't go up because that's actually staff time and it's very, you're able to kind of see one, inflation, and two, like.
So I understand. And that what we decided was that when we'll get to it in just a moment, that the disconnection permit, which previously was just $100, it was the same amount of labor to go out and observe the connection permit than the disconnection permit. So we opted to make the disconnection permit equal to the sewer connection permit at $300. And we felt that if we increased the sewer connection at this time, it would increase the disconnection permit a little bit too much.
Okay.
They typically go in pairs.
Okay.
So when you're doing remodeling, you'll do the disconnect first, and then at the end, you'll do the connection. So we did feel that we addressed those increases.
Yeah, but to your point, next year, we can take another look at it based upon
Okay.
staff time and based upon
Yep.
their annual increases and what have you, and then make changes accordingly.
Do these precipitate chopping up the road and then have the next cost?
So yeah. So street opening permit, this is where there is the hope to have a connection to a utility, to underground in certain locations, and they are within our right of way, and they're opening up our right of way, and they're trenching within our right of way. And so we require certificate of insurance, and we require insurance and bonding for that work. We also want, and that's the bonding's for 2 years. We also want to make sure that should there be any issue with settling over time, that they would be able to be there to make those corrections. Certain areas in the past, we would say, okay, this road is slated to be paved in the next 2 years, so therefore your fee would be balanced based on that, or this road just got paved, so your fee would be more. It was getting a little bit too cumbersome. And when we transferred over to the OpenGov system, because it would have to be a tiger call as to, okay, I see in my chart, I'm going to be paving that street in a couple of years. And when we went over to the OpenGov system, it would be better to streamline it. So at that point in time, we went to a $10 per square foot value for any area within our right of way that's being disturbed, whether it be in pavement or in shoulder or in sidewalk area. And so right now, based on this, we don't, because we went in 2023, we made that modification when we transferred over to OpenGov. So we're not proposing at this time any change to the street.
What was it
opening.
before, Maria?
$750, and
It just seems really cheap to me.
Yeah.
To go ahead
Mhm.
and cut into some of the roads that we spend unbelievable amounts of money to get just right. And here we have $10 a square foot. Yeah, go ahead, cut into it, just repair it, and you're done. I mean, that makes no sense to me. I mean, it should be is there a state mandate that you have to have it that inexpensive, or is it?
No, we were actually quite high comparatively to our surrounding.
$10 a
neighbors.
square
Yeah.
foot. I mean,
When we went to 750, we were high. We followed Norwalk at 750. We followed their format, and then.
So what's an average permit with $10 a square foot? Are we getting less than 750 now?
No.
What do you think we're getting?
Well, we could run, and like a typical would be midway to.
I mean, you should do that analysis, right? I mean, you should know what we're getting on an average street opening
well, and the
and how
problem
much
is
it costs us to.
the problem is
No, they still have to
$10 a
fix
square
it.
foot, right?
Right.
This
It's
is
a
just the
foot is
permit.
this, and you could put a
Right.
pipe or a wire, whatever, in this range and cut into a brand new road and literally destroy the road. I mean, down the side of the road, across the road. This is, we've seen it so many times over the years. It's like, how do we prevent that from happening, especially on the new roads?
We
that
never
we've
get to
just done?
prevent them from actually doing the work
Yeah.
because
they never do it. They never replace it the way we roll it out. I mean, it's just,
we do review them, but to Maria's point, we have a bond that goes for 2 years. Some of the settlement occurs post 2 years.
Yeah.
The standard had always been for a bond to be held for 2 years for that work by that contractor. And then we review that, those patches close to the 2-year mark to see if we need to go back to the contractor. We can certainly revisit it. We were high in our surrounding towns at the time that we instituted. We were very progressive when we did it originally at the 750 mark. Because before then we were, I forgot what the number was, but I think it was like $6.
But do you have the ability in OpenGov, because you keep track of the age of all the roads?
Yes, I do.
Do you have the ability to grade this fee based on the age of the road? So if it's a brand new road, you're going to pay a higher fee per
that's what
square
you're
foot.
saying though, Maria, right?
That's where the challenge is, because then that's dynamic. And as soon as we're 6 months in, we could have, like, come this spring, we could have roads that get repaved. So then that's going in and changing the programming within OpenGov. And it absolutely can be done. It's just another step. And it's staying on top of that. It's staying ahead of it.
Right.
So that's why we had come to this universal accepted square footage number, because it's not just the actual pavement surface, it's the whole trenching and backfilling. It's, work within the area. And so we felt justified in that. But we could look at the actual fee.
I'd just like to
itself.
understand
Again,
how this is different from the 750. Are we behind? Are we ahead? Like, where does this bring us out? Like, we should know that.
How is it, the square footage measured? We're not talking cubic footage. We're just talking whatever the
At this-
lateral line is. And of course, this is just the fee to be able to do it. You as the property owner have to pay for everything and pay to bring it back.
Yeah, they provide a sketch of the extents of the work that they have to do, and then the extents of what they consider to be their excavation. And then we review it. And to Steve's point, if they're putting in a 24-inch pipe, it can't be a 2-foot wide hole, right? Because you can't get the pipe in. So we look at that as well and make sure that that what they're saying is actual they can do. So we've had instances where we say, no, that's not going to be a 2-foot cut. That's going to be a 4-foot cut or a 5-foot cut, 5 foot wide. And then from there, recalculate their fee accordingly. So we do review each sketch and each permit to make sure that it's constructible the way that they're saying it's being constructed.
Yeah, and again, we all just like cutting through roads, but it's an interesting thing from a owner's perspective. You didn't get to choose when the road was being paved, and then it seems like people are allowed to rebuild their house. It's tricky.
That's a good point, Amy. I'm thinking I have such a thing about Aquarian and a lot of these big companies, the big guys, right? I actually forgot that homeowners have that's probably more reason why you're cutting these roads. It just bothers me when we pave these roads, especially the main arteries of town, Main and Elm and South Avenue, and we get beautiful boulevards all done, and then we go chop them up. And and $10 a square foot doesn't cover. We approve millions and millions of dollars for road work. And,
but I think there's 2 points here. Okay, one is what's the fee to get a permit to allow you to do it.
Right.
The second point is how is what do we have a better ability to make sure that when it is cut, that it's brought back to a level you want, which is different than the fee.
Right.
The fee is just like for you to have the ability to do it, we're going to charge you this because you have your costs involved in oversight. Look, we all know it's impossible once the road is laid down and cut through. But in terms of, can we make them use certain contractors to put it back to? I mean, and I'm not trying to overcomplicate your life, but it is that balance, right? Because
life goes on.
Yeah, and you may have lived in
to.
that for 10 years. The road got paved or didn't get paved, but now you finally have the opportunity to do some renovations. It's not really for us to say you can't just because we paved the road. But the question is, are there better safeguards to making sure it gets as close to, and I don't know if it's even possible.
Well, so that, and I'm sorry, but that is one of the nice parts of this 2 years, the bonding that we have. We have this window because the idea is to allow for a couple of freeze thaw cycles, because
Mhm.
that's really historically what causes these problems. And we've had no problems in the past going back and saying, you have to come back out and redo this patch. And Tiger's made those calls.
And 2 years gives you
Before.
enough time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 2 years from the permit or 2 years from the dig? I mean,
It's typically 2 years from the permit, but
Permit.
we also limit them on the amount of time that they have for the permit. So the permit expires at the end of the year. It's right at November 15th. And November 15th, they've got to ask us to extend it into the December range to be
Mhm.
able to finish. So their permit from where it is expires at the end of the year. They'd have to give us a new permit coming if they weren't able to do it. And then Steve, to your point, so for the big guys like Aquarian and Eversource, we calculate out this and then we do a differential between the two. And normally it comes in where they come in and pay 50% of our milling and paving costs, which is very close to these fees. And it's just one shot. So they come in at the end of the year, they come in at the end. We bid the job. I say it was $126 a ton. This is how many tons you're going to use. It was $3 to mill it. This is how many square yards we're going to do. And they cut a check for 50% of the cost. We're done. So they paid for that. They helped pay for that repaving. When they come in on the wholesale, put in a water main with all the extensions and annihilate the road, they actually do help in the end with that, because you're right. It would be unfair.
That's a good word, because we have had some roads absolutely annihilated, and it's not because of stuff that we need as a municipality. They're just passing through, annihilating our roads. I mean,
well, in the case of the gas, that's correct. Yeah. But so in that case, they do pay.
And the water.
Right, I'm sorry, actually it was water more, right, the 36 inch. So for there, they did pay, right? So, and in that regard, so for Harrison Avenue, Aquarian paid in total for the road.
Yeah.
Because of the 36-inch pipe, they paid for all the repaving. These are more this is the homeowner coming in. We use this calculation to show the utility how much we're charging versus the offset would be for paving. But this is for the homeowner coming in and getting new gas service or a new water line or a new electrical service, things of that nature.
Or repairing a sewer lateral
that failed, those kind of things.
so this fee, the danger we have if we raise it is we're actually just throwing it back on the taxpayer. That's the issue.
It's coming right back to them. Yeah, this is not
Now,
going to
let's
hit
be
the
honest, if we raise it, it's just going to come back to us anyway, because Eversource will pass it through. Or the gas company. I
Never
mean,
win. It's crazy.
and their fees, they pass through. I mean, Pura has to oversee it, but it's like, they don't, all their costs get passed back to us. It's not like,
everything comes back. to
yeah,
the
it all
taxpayer.
comes back.
I mean, in the end, yeah. A little bit longer of a route in
Yeah,
certain cases, but
yeah.
yes, you're
no,
correct.
they're not a not-for-profit.
But we can take another look and give you an analysis. But when we did it at the time, I know when we did it, the first go and then the second go, we were high compared to our neighbors, especially when we first instituted it, because we took Norwalk's numbers and increased Norwalk's the way that Norwalk was doing it. But we can take a look again and give you another analysis. As to,
It's the finished product that people, I mean, I just always go back to that survey we did, which blew me away. It was probably, I think, under the Jim Walker administration. And we had survey people riding the trains into Manhattan back and forth. And it amazed me. It was one of the biggest surveys we did before, like this, the survey we did for Plan of Conservation and Development had a high number. But the number that came back, that original survey, put the education of New Canaan at the number one. Number two answer, roads. I mean,
Right.
It was really an eye opener for me how important it is that people use that stuff every day. And they expect our roads to be nice and not cut into. But
and we've made a lot of progress since
Yes, we
that
have.
survey.
Yes, we
So
have. That's a long time
Hats
ago.
off to
And
you.
this
Okay.
paving index has been amazing to watch the progress of the roads. And that's what gets me so upset is we track this stuff. We put all this money into it and we watch these roads get blown up.
upset than we do
Yeah.
when we finish and then a permit comes in. That's you're like,
So can you just, since, we're not going to be voting on this until Thursday, if
Sure.
you could just, for the opening permit, just do a little analysis for us of, how does this compare to the 750 and, kind of on average?
So I just want to clarify, it was $7.50 per square foot
Oh.
before. So it's just,
For your
Wasn't it
rate.
straight?
no,
No, no, no, no, no, no, no, no,
$7
no.
Oh, sorry. I
yeah, sorry.
misunderstood.
Yep.
Okay. And that was in,
That was in 2010. So the question
oh, wow, we went
is,
almost 15 years without raising that.
Years, yep.
right,
That's a long time.
Yep.
That's kind of too long. I mean, obviously we're talking about it now, but I mean, because what is it, what effort by the town does it take when this happens? Nothing? Is it just a fee, or do you have manpower that has to go out there? I
We have
mean,
manpower to go back out and check the trench after.
yeah, so I
yes.
mean, we have to take into account that we have staff time that, you know, is always increasing and
Mhm.
on the cost of it. So we need to,
Well, except we've always done them. Okay, that's always been part of the job.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. I mean, if it's always been part of your job to do this, you're not
right, but the
necessarily.
cost of them is increasing. So it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I agree, but the
Yeah.
cost to do that has changed
Yeah.
every year.
You're not necessarily the hours. Yeah.
Right, but the cost,
Yeah, I get it.
the
I get
dollars
it.
have changed.
Also look at, and, you know, we'll look at this, perhaps maybe there's a minimum
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
a minimum fee,
to,
but
to
then
that,
to that
that
point.
once you get someone out there, that's already, that's a blanket.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And everyone who actually, you know, this is their fee, they do the work, they repave. Everyone uses the same asphalt, right? So it's not like, it's more a level of skill in terms of the people repairing it, right? I mean, everyone has the same raw materials, right?
Pretty much coming all out of the same plants in
Yep, okay.
Stanford and Bridgeport, yes. And then, but yeah, it comes down to the guy on the loop, the guy on the rake.
Right.
As to whether or not it's good or not.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
compaction,
Yeah,
the compaction of
Mhm.
soil surfaces, that's the
Right.
key. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, so then we go to our storm drain connection fee. And this is literally the storm drains within our right of way. If someone petitions to connect to it, we didn't make any change to this fee because we actually prohibit any surface runoff connections. This would only be for overflows of sump pumps or overflows of a Cultec system. And in so many cases, based on where we're today with our current policy for the 100-year storm event, these overflows are not necessary. They're actually, the systems are sized large enough to have retention on site. So we have actually not had this past year. I can look at OpenGov, but I don't even think that we had one last year. So we're not making a change to that. And that I see as a win because I don't want more connections to our storm drains.
So you want it addressed where it is.
Exactly, exactly. So sewer disconnect fee, we touched upon this earlier. This is where this fee was established in 2015, and it was established at $100 per permit. Like I said, there are two separate times that we have to go out there and observe the disconnect to make sure it's safely shut off and capped, and then again at the connection. We're looking to actually increase this fee from $100 to $300 so it's equal to the sewer connection fee.
Same amount of work, right? And you wouldn't disconnect and not reconnect, right? I mean, unless someone is taking a property down and not, I mean, typically they go tandem, right?
Typically they do go tandem, exactly. There might, be 9 months in between, but
Right.
yes.
Okay.
And then the last one under engineering and admin is the engineering review fee. And this is based on our drainage policy that for instances where new construction have required a drainage analysis, that the work that we have to do to go back and forth with the applicant and their consultants, it's a $500 permit fee. We did not propose any change to that this year.
How many hours would it take you to do one of these? I mean, it seems like it could take a lot of time. Just
Yeah.
speaking in terms of.
Depends on the engineer, the consultant that's hired. Some are easier than others. Some require a lot of hand holding.
Do you have like a list of engineers? If people say, hey, who should I use?
So
Or you
we
can't do that.
check both the health department and inland wetlands have lists of engineers who have asked to be on the list. And basically we can't make any recommendations, but we can provide copies of those lists. And they are available on documents on our website. I'm not sure if it's on Documents on Demand. And they are available, but we cannot do anything further.
Okay. That makes sense.
all right, so, excuse me, so the next are the transfer station fees. So the first three, the tipping fee, the disposal of brush, and the disposal of construction debris, our contracts will be being renewed in July of 26. So at present, we're still paying the same rate. So we're not proposing to change anything, but in July of 26, when we come before this board to have the contracts done, we would like to then reevaluate and see exactly where we are. We don't know what the bids are going to be in, so we don't know exactly what we're going to be paying for the material to leave, to leave the site. So we don't know exactly what to charge at present. I don't want to bring something to you.
And that's
say we're
just a wash. So it doesn't really matter for the budget because it's just a wash anyway. So
right. We're paying $111 out the door for garbage. We're charging 115. It's pretty much, we try to stay, just round up the number. But right now I would just be stabbing in the dark at it. And it really was, in July, when we come for both, we'll come for the contract and we'll come for the fee at that time. And then the only change that we're looking at this year is to the residential sticker fee for the person who does not have a hauler. At present, back in 2020, we went to a split fee, 45-75, 45 for someone who has a hauler, 75 for someone who doesn't. We're proposing that changes to keep the person who has the hauler at $45 because they're coming in to use the station they might bring their recycling. They might come to the swap shop. They might like to do, certain things from their house and bring it in. We don't want to deter that. But the person who doesn't have a hauler, bring it up to at least $100 a year. Again, we're paying $111 out the door. If it's an average of a ton and a half per household, that's $165 that they would be paying for the tipping fee alone. That's why we'd like to bring it, we were at half when we considered it at the time that we did this in 2020. We considered 75 was half of it. I'd like to bring that up a little bit just to get in line because we're paying for 165 out the door. Right. We're only charging or 75 coming out. So that's why we're looking at $100 minimum to change that fee. We don't want to do too much at a time, but we think that would be a good change.
But the proposal, the thought over time is to get them to what we're charged.
Getting closer, yes, yeah, because we're same to everyone else. We're charging the hauler to come in. That hauler's pushing it back on the resident. So we would like to see that fee come up to what we're paying. And then we might say that the average household is a ton and a half. We might say it's a ton and a quarter just to try to be a little conservative. But yes, we'd like to get even across the board.
My guess is the people who choose not to have someone pick up their trash every week. My guess is the people who bring it in perhaps have smaller households. Or you don't have 4 kids at home and you maybe have a little more free time and you can do it. So that's my guess. But still at $100, it is a great bargain.
Right.
Yeah. It just is. Everyone probably pays to get it picked up. And I know other places, to throw out, you have to get a permit. And then you also have to buy a bag to put your trash in a bag as well. So it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, the sticker at $45 is amazing. That's an amazing deal. We haven't changed that since 2020.
Right. That's when we instituted this split fee.
Yeah. Before that, it was about $25.
It was $25. That's correct. Well, it was 40. I'm sorry, back in 2009. We started off at 25. Then it actually went away for a couple of years. Then it got reinstituted again, and we were at 40 from 2009 to 2015. Then we went to $45 and 15, and then in 2020 we went to this split model. So we're proposing to keep the split model, just increase the non-hauler fee.
And we look at this do we look at this every year or is it every 5 years?
Well, we were looking at it about every 5, but we will, to this point, we'd rather look at, to bring up that, the one with the non-hauler fee, we would look at that annually and start to institute
pretty soon $45 is going to look kind of low, but I guess for now it's
right. But that's just a person using the station. It's a convenience fee for someone to come in, and then we don't know what they're doing at that point in time.
We don't discourage like the swap shop use and all that. I get that, but it's
and their fees might be going up by their own private haulers.
Right.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks.
Okay.
And then we're back to the treatment
Septic.
facility.
The septic dumping.
Yep.
I'll let you do that.
Oh,
one.
the septic
Yeah.
dumping. So the septic dumping, sorry, we're looking at no change. We made a change to $105 per 1,000 gallons in 2022. And we're not at that point in time, we had been at 100. We were in a sweet spot, and we're still in a sweet spot. We're a little bit above that, what I would want to be the sweet spot. And we don't want to force everyone away, because it is actually a pretty good generator of revenue for us. And it goes into most of it goes, 85% of it goes into our maintenance reserve or towards our capital expenditures. And if we start to charge too much, they're going to go to our neighboring towns. They'll just fill up here and go to Stanford. They'll go to other locations. And that was our fear.
They allow that for sewage?
Well, because it's a combined load, and if they're going to pay, they're going to pay. We have to make sure we have them fill out a form that this septic.
I have to sign a form
Yes,
from my
right.
thing that,
So you know,
I
you signed it. So yeah, so we require a form. The others do not. So they would be
so
able
we
to.
don't bring any out of town. But other towns allow you. to
Other
bring
towns
every
allow
sewage
it.
out.
Much larger facilities will allow it. Yeah, but what we don't want to do is force everyone away, and then we lose the revenue. So my fear is we make the fee too high, and then they have another place to go, and then they'll start going to where it's cheaper. Right now, we're right on that cusp where I think that we're in a good spot, and I'd like to stay in that good spot. And when we mentioned this to the WPCA, the Board of Finance at the time, they were in agreement that they would rather be maybe a little bit low and keep the revenue than not. Sorry, Maria, I forgot about that. Yeah.
No worry.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the sewer impact fee, which is a relatively new fee. And this fee gets applied at the time of building permit. And just a little bit of back history, it might still be fresh in people's minds, but it might not be. The idea is that residences or properties, within our sewer district, if they alter their sanitary sewer flows that result in additional sewer flows into our system, as part of the building permit application, we are now assigning ourselves, because we actually have very few, the Public Works and Engineering have very few fees during building permit, but we're assigning that there would be a dollar amount per additional gallon of a one-time fee, and that would be an impact fee. It's separate than your annual user fees, and it falls in line with the fact that there literally will be additional flows into our treatment plant based on the proposed project. So for example, if a residential house has 4 bedrooms and they come in for an application for an addition, and they would come in for an additional bedroom based on the Connecticut State Health Code, and that's what our trigger is, that additional bedroom could result in 75 gallons per day additional flow. At a rate of $10 per additional gallon, that would be a one-time fee at building permit for $750 in order to be approved to have that additional bedroom. We feel that that's very reasonable. We've gone through this with the Board of Finance and the WPCA and gone back and forth on it. And also just to kind of put in perspective, again, this is only for properties within the district that add flows to the system. If that same house, that example that I gave you is a 4-bedroom house that's on septic, and they want to go add another bedroom, they're going to have to do an evaluation that meets the Connecticut Public Health Code. They're going to be reviewing with Amy. They're going to make sure that they have a B100A, that all the requirements. They might be responsible for improving their septic tank. They might, there might be fees associated. So there is a balancing, because everyone understands that more flow can cause an impact. And so that's why we propose this impact.
And this flow per bedroom there's just a state guide.
Yes, the state public health code, and
Okay.
that's what we use as the threshold. So either their engineer would come back with a summary, or for instance, we've already done 3 of these so far during under OpenGov, and it's been either a 3-bedroom going to a 4-bedroom, or a 4-bedroom going to a 5-bedroom, and then that's just a straight line item. So I'm able to assign that fee very easily.
How is a fee assessed for a commercial property or a commercial addition restaurant or, maybe like, look at a big addition at the Y. Those are also impacts. How do you measure those?
Their engineer, as part of their application, their engineer would have to evaluate what existing conditions are based on the criteria through the Connecticut Public Health Code. So it's you use rule of thumb values and then under post-developed conditions. And then that delta between those two numbers is what the fee is assessed on. We don't do water meter readings. We don't have the ability to do that.
So it's really an estimate of,
Yes.
and it's the responsibility of the
Applicant.
Correct.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Really thoughtful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
See you Thursday.
All right. So the next is health. Amy?
Good morning. So there's no changes to the health department fee schedule for this year. I kept everything the same, and I will be doing a look at our fees versus other local health departments in the summer to see where we're sitting and possibly propose some new fees based on that.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm not going through those.
Yeah, no, there's
Sorry.
there's a lot. So. Yeah, your work cut out for you there.
Okay.
And you're going to review this. We look at this stuff annually though too. So I know you're new to the.
Right. So I wanted to get a feel of the first budget season and the fees and how it would work. There are some ideas I have floating of what other towns have done that may work with some of the things you've talked about, whether you build in a 2% increase every year right into your fee schedule, so you're not doing big changes. I also want to look at, some farmers market fee possibly, since it's not technically a temporary event. So I just wanted some time to get kind of the first budget in and then be able to go through the fee schedule and make some probably somewhat more significant changes.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Okay. Next is inland wetlands. Is anybody here? Oh, there we are. You didn't want to come and join us up here?
Well, we didn't want to. We're just trying to juggle a few other appointments that we both have today. So if this is okay, we'll.
Yes, this is fine.
Okay, very good. Good morning, everyone. Kathleen Holland, Inland Wetlands Director. Our fee, Sarah and I do our fee schedule together. So you're sort of talking about planning and zoning and inland wetlands a bit together. But for inland wetlands, our fees are relatively new and were adopted in January of 2025 after a comprehensive review of the usual suspects in our area. We had made some changes at that time to single family residents and up to that fee, which has come in line and been appropriate for the reviews and the amount of time that we're spending doing those types of reviews. So I have no new fees that are being asked for this year and no changes in existing fees.
Okay. All right. And Sarah, I see there's quite a few fees for zoning as well.
Yes, so we are not proposing any changes either this year. We did a comprehensive review in the last fiscal budget update, and we amended our fees then. We have fees for the Planning and Zoning Commission. Those were what we targeted last year, and we feel that those are in line with what other communities are doing. So no proposed changes there. And then with our zoning permit fees, that has been comprehensively updated over the last 5 years, and it really, breaks things out based on how much time we're spending on reviewing each type of construction project. And as you'll note, we charge the inclusionary zoning fee, and that brings in between $400,000 and $500,000 a year, but it's not reflected in our revenue because it goes into the Affordable Housing Fund. So we're a bit limited in, the zoning permit fees we can charge because we have that going on in our department. And then Zoning Board of Appeals, we updated that last year. We feel comfortable with that charge. And then we have some miscellaneous things that we charge a $200 flat fee for. And outdoor dining was updated last year as well. Not proposing any changes this year since it was updated last year. And we'll probably look to update that next year.
All right. Can you I just am curious. I see a fee for the POCD after the fact permit. What would we be charging someone in for a $40? I don't, after the
All right,
fact.
so we have at the top, after the fact permits, you get triple the applicable fee. I'm not sure what you're looking at where it says POCD.
It's the very, it says POCD $40, subdivision regulations $30, zoning regs $40, zoning map large 30. I just don't, I'm just.
So so those are just if you want to purchase a copy of those documents at the top. That's
I
just,
see documents.
yeah, for everything. If someone does work without a permit, we're charging triple.
Okay. All right.
A quick question. There's a $100 fee for generator. Is that if someone has like a portable generator or if it's you're putting in a permanent generator?
If you're putting in a generator or a propane tank that's above ground, you have to get a building permit and we review the location to make sure you're compliant with zoning. So not
Okay, so if you have a portable generator that does a little bit of the house, you don't have this.
no.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Sarah, we did change those sidewalk cafe permits last year. And, you know, I don't know whether we ever circled back to you. How was the feedback on that? Was it reasonable? I mean, everybody thought it was pretty fair based on.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple restaurants who went from, I think, paying $300 to paying $1,600. And so that was a bit of a sticker shock, but everyone complied. We, you know, I think a couple people dragged their feet, but really no issues.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a lot of traffic out there when the weather's nice. So hopefully they get paid back pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to parking. Is there any? Oh.
No changes.
Okay.
We should look at that just to.
Yeah. Just looking at the,
The parking commission takes that up too, don't they? Like all the
yeah, they bring it to us.
yeah, Stacy actually had brought this to us, all of the parking permit fees. And I know we actually went through that either a year or two ago and raised those and looked at them all. So yeah, these all look pretty reasonable.
All right.
All right. Let's move
Good.
on to PD. Is there any changes to PD? Anybody on? Has not made any recent changes. All right, so no changes. Recreation. We went through this recently. We just went through this with John and Zach and.
That's right. They presented all the
Yeah.
tennis, paddle,
Yeah.
waving
Yeah,
pool.
they went through these recently. So, okay. And then Wave House, we did this one too, but we can take a look. So,
They touched on this as well.
yep. Okay. And then, okay. So did we get all the fee? It looks like I got all the fees. All right, so why don't we move on to general government? And I see Ryan on line.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Ryan, nice to see you. How's the baby?
Good, you too. Doing great. Yeah, we're doing great. In fact, there's a little play date happening downstairs. So sorry if there's kid noises.
Those days. Okay, so. Where do you want to start, Ian?
So I have a couple things that I want to just hit, I guess, before we actually jump into the presentation piece. So I have, Anne, I think gave you at the beginning of the meeting a few pages. I think I have 4 pages here, kind of an update to the book that you have that I gave you
Yes.
a few weeks ago. So
Okay.
it includes Board of Ed numbers. It includes a couple other changes that have come through over the past few weeks. This 4 pages is just a summary. So you've got the first page is expense summary. Second page is our revenue summary. Nothing much changed there. And then there's a third page that Dion, I think you had requested some summary by grouping by code type. So that's what we try to do here.
Thank you.
In the system, it's called character code. So that's how we're using it. So 51 is wages, 52 is benefits, things like that. And then we also broke out the utilities by type. So electricity, fuel, oil, gasoline, CHP. So that's broken out here. I don't know if you want to talk about that in more detail later or now, but that's there for you. And the last page of that 4 pages and an analysis to just kind of give you, these are the things that changed between the book that you have and the updated numbers that I gave you in that packet.
Okay.
If you want the full packet, that's in that 26-27 budget material folder. It's called FY27 supplement, and it's dated 26/1/21. So I just did that last week.
Okay. Yep. I see it.
There's 40 something pages of that document. So
Okay.
that is what I'm going to be referencing in my presentation, by the way. I'm not going to be in the book because the numbers are different. Specifically, some revenue numbers are different in there, a couple expense things that we changed over time. So my page numbers on my presentation are going to be referencing this document. So from there, I can jump into the presentation. How do I get this faces out of the way? There we go. Good. So stop me if you've got questions on anything, certainly, but I'll just roll through it. I'll start with expenditure summary. So these are the departments that are in the general government. So it's basically a lot of town hall. And then there are some other, they're not departments, but they're groups. So health and security benefits, insurance liability, debt service, other agencies, outside agencies, things like that. So we'll be talking about all that today. Starting with non-departmental. I don't know if you usually talk about this one, but there's a pretty significant change this year. So we have 82,000.
Yeah, you know what, Ryan, the presentation, we don't have that.
We don't
have that.
no.
Brian, the presentation that we.
The presentation you do have, sorry, I maybe missed talking about that one. That one's dated titled 2026-01-27 general government presentation, about halfway down the list.
Oh, I see it. Yep. Okay. Midway down, go into your budget schedule.
Bouncing back and forth between these
Go,
two.
yeah, so keep going. There we go.
Budget materials.
And then midway down, keep going. Got general government
There it is. Okay,
presentation.
got it. Thank you.
See it? Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Down at page 7.
7. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So our non-departmental, we also have charter review, charter revision, whatever that's being called. So that's the major driver, the major differences here. It's a 37.5% increase between those two things, but a 2.5% increase on the volunteer tax abatement. And the charter review, we've got $28,028 in there, which is tracking everything related to the charters to best of our ability, with the exception of legal. So that goes in its own area, but we're tracking it in there as well. So we should have a pretty good idea of where the charter review costs end up.
Okay.
For Selectmen's office, we are at 6.4% increase year over year.
And we have to, I always have to defend myself. This is all about the 250th.
It really
That
is.
is about the 250th.
Yeah, the major drivers
showing that number.
Exactly. The $25,000 increase in economic development, that's 100% that cost right there. Everything else is pretty reasonable. 3.7% increase to salaries, but 9.8% decrease to part-time salaries. So one of the things that we're going to see as we go through this list, I've pointed out a little bit earlier, and the departments have pointed out if it comes up. So Social Security is likely going to increase commensurate with salaries, and the 401A is going to be pretty significantly changed for several departments. My understanding was that it maybe wasn't totally being accounted for in prior years. This number is going to include every dollar of salary that gets allocated to 401A. That number is going to be in the budget. So it's that number is going to look big for some departments, pretty big increase, but it's going to be more accurate to what's actually going to happen. So next up is finance. So I tried to capture any drivers.
This office, just remind me, this office lease rental is the printer, the color print. We have a
Leaf and
yeah.
and I forgot the other one.
All that stuff.
Yep.
So much more expensive. Okay.
It really is, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to capture with this sort of page. I tried to capture the drivers that were more than 5% of the overall change year over year. So that's kind of why these may not line up with each department, but these are the major drivers for each department. So salaries were expected to go up 2.9%. Social Security is up 5.5%. 401A, this is a bigger one, 12.5% increase to 401A. Again, just based on how we're tracking it, accounting for it, the math that I did to get this number versus maybe what was happening in years past. Service
And
contracts,
Ryan,
we moved.
Hey, Ryan,
Sure.
when we talk about that increase in the 401A, we're just tracking it differently. It doesn't increase the overall number though, right? It just makes some of these budgets are going to look like they're up when they really aren't.
My understanding in talking to Ann is that we've been over budget in that line for several years. So this is kind of fixing that. So instead of taking it out of contingency because we have to, because we don't have enough money in the line, we're going to try to put enough money in the line.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So it's not as big a change from actual, right?
Correct. Shouldn't be. Right. Yep. This is capturing where people's salaries are kind of right now and the expectation for 27, including step increases and things like that. And I built in a piece that's here also for contingency. So if we do approve a raise for town hall union, for example, or non-union, I should say, then that number would move kind of out of contingency into this line and things like that.
How did
But
we
it's-
budget for it in the past?
It was just a pure estimate on it, on the levels, and then based on contracts. Different highway was a difficult one based on levels for that one. That was always an underfunded one.
Okay.
So Ryan really, with HR, dug really deep into each person, each contract to come up with a really good number.
Yeah, these come person by person. This is what their actual salary is, their expected salary for next year with step increases and COLAs and things like that. And if we have a vacant position or we know somebody's retiring, then we expect a 7% match for a new person that comes in. So that's kind of how that came about.
Okay.
We may come in under budget if we don't fill those positions, things like that. But you know, we kind of have to assume we're going to fill positions that are vacant.
Okay. And these software subscriptions were elsewhere, right? So this is
Yes. In various departments, they were in service contracts. It could have been outside contractors. They were in various places. I tried to put as much as possible into the software subscriptions line so we can keep a better track of what software is costing us versus other kinds of expenses.
Yeah. So on this one, we had software elsewhere in the budget, right?
It was
So-
under, service contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
So, I don't know, maybe have a little bit less, but so if you took that out, that would take out some money in the increase, definitely.
Yeah, I tried to outline
It's
some of those
just
things if
tricky,
I
yeah.
found them.
Right.
So it's from service contracts to software subscriptions, it's a $3,000 increase or 5.5% year over year.
Which makes about sense.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going at
What
that
we're
rate.
saying.
Yeah, between 5 and 10 is we're going to see all through this for software.
Yeah, and Amy, as I said before, Ryan has really dug deep into these accounts because at the end of the year, we have a state filing we have to do. It's called a UCOA, Uniform Chart of Accounts. So we're trying to match our expenditures into those line items where the state is looking for those type of expenditures to go in. So he's lining them up in that. So when we do the reporting at the end of the year, it's apples to apples for us.
Why did the banking transaction go down? I mean, I'm happy to, but went from.
It's not that it went down, it's just coming down in finance. We moved a lot of those to the appropriate departments where that revenue comes from.
Mainly
Okay.
parking.
All right.
Yep. The revenue's going into parking, but the expenditures were going into, the banking fees are going into finance. So
Okay.
in looking at that, they're in finance, they're in parking now.
It shows you the challenges of looking at department year over year when stuff is always kind of fluid.
Move it
you know,
around,
and-
yeah.
And ultimately, we have one bill we have to pay for the town for everything, so.
Right.
We're just trying to be as clean as we can. Yeah.
It's that consolidated for the whole
It's just tricky.
on the back page.
Well, and
We-
like, it seems that everybody has a different view when they're working
Yeah.
through it and stuff, which is fine.
Yeah, but if you go to that back page, I had them roll it all up. A bunch of, not that page, this page here by character code and charter code. It's not for everything, but you can kind of see the roll up of all the departments.
And that's by code type. It's called character code, but it's salaries, benefits, things like that. And then there's outside purchase services. There's I don't have the list in front of me right now, but
Yeah, the purchase
it's,
property.
supplies, things like that. So there's a bunch of different miscellaneous fees. There's a lot of different types in there that help us kind of guide the discussion on those things.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, that's finance. Overall 2.3% increase, not a ton to go over beyond that. Tax assessor, we actually have a 3.1% decrease year over year, primarily due to part-time salary reduction. So we're looking at expect to add a full-time person that's going to be split between assessor and tax collector. And we remove the part-timers from those departments to offset that. 401A will increase because of that, because a full-timer is going to be eligible for the match, whereas a part-timer would not. So we have a pretty big increase there. And then service contracts, again, we move that to software subscriptions. So $1,000 increase overall, 3.8% for that line.
So we're getting rid of part-time, but we're going to have a full-time person that's split between two departments.
Yep. So you see
Correct.
the collector, that you have to go to the collector. That's
Yeah,
Is that where you're putting it?
that's the big change.
Okay, but you're not allocating it half for one, half for the other?
Because of the seasonality of both those offices between what tax needs and what of finance, they're changing it that way. We're charging it that way because of where they need and also for appropriate backup.
Additionally, some of that goes to the sewer fund as well.
Sewer as well. Sewer picks up a portion of the cost as well.
But under tax collector, because we have, that's where you show the increase, right? That full-time is not doing all the work in the tax collector, right?
It'll float.
Are we
between both.
allocating it to the other departments? I mean,
I do have it broken out. Yeah. Again, I don't have the detail. It's on the staffing pages.
And I think, Ryan, what's confusing is, you got one department that's down 3.1%, and the other department's up 33%. So that's.
can't you do a pro rata? Like if it's a full-time person that I understand that healthcare or the savings, the pension number will go up. But can't you, if it's 45% tax, 45% assessor and 5%, so wouldn't it be, if you're trying to allocate stuff cleanly against departments, wouldn't that be cleaner?
This is what's happening. Yep. You're absolutely right. So if you check page 62 in your book, 62 and 63, actually, the tax clerk position is on there. I have half a person in the assessor's office. I have 0.4% or whatever, 40% of a person in the collector's office, and that's going to be 10% in the sewer fund later on down the line. So that is being done.
So in the salaries full-time, that is the pro rata portion of that person.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
so the reason.
Okay to move on?
Yep.
Okay. So the tax collector, as we sort of got to, 33.5% increase, primarily due to that full-time salary change. Again, we removed the part-time and overtime to account for that. Social Security increased, again, due to the salary change. And then we moved service contracts instead of software this time to communications. That's a $4,500 increase, which is a 27.3%. The bulk of that is the change to add the cloud software for QDS, where previously we had just the sort of on-premises version. There's a cloud version of that, so that increased the costs pretty significantly.
So I'm being a little slow on this, and I apologize, but so the tax collector, it's looking like it's going up 33.5%.
Correct. And 57,000 of the $63,000 increase is full-time salaries.
And is that because the tax collector's job has gotten bigger? I mean,
Well,
I'm sorry,
I think we benefited
circular.
last
Yeah.
year. We benefited last year from, there used to be a full-time collector and a full-time assessor. Sebi took on a dual role.
right.
So last year we benefited from
$90,000 last year. But they still need this position to really be that
So this is
supporting.
more normalizing after we had kind of a vacancy for a while.
right. And so
Okay.
Sebi's going to get part-time help to help him kind of manage.
Different times of who's busy when and coverage.
Okay.
It's just the timing. You have to almost go back for years and.
Well, and the assessor gets that $22,000 credit for the part-time, which isn't reflected in the collector. So there, if you take the split and you add it, that's why it's the numbers.
Yeah.
Look,
He had a
so-
year under his belt to realize what's the best structure that he needs between both departments. And it wasn't a part-time here and a part-time, it was a floater that could go back and forth between the two in the timeline.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting. 339.
So,
So if
so
you
we're,
go
I'm sorry.
back to like, I'd say go back to like 2024, compare 2024 actuals to the proposed for both departments.
Mhm.
And you kind of get a sense of, because 270, so we're down a little bit, still in the collectors. And we're,
Yeah, 198 to 179. And the assessors from 289 to 332. And that's my understanding on that is we didn't split Sevi's salary between the two. His salary is all in assessor. And a little bit in sewer.
Sewer picks up a piece because of the fact that both those offices handle getting out the sewer information, the bills, the software used, the postage. So a portion of the expense and salary expense gets charged to the sewer fund itself for running that fund.
and for reporting your uniform chart of accounts, you have to split these departments.
Yes, yes,
So you have to keep it.
I have to
separate.
keep, yeah, we have to keep the department separate.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. That's the collector. So now we have legal. So as I alluded to a little bit before, we have two different pieces. One of them is the charter review for 10,000 a year, but we kept our 425,000 from 26 to 27. So that piece is flat. And then we're adding 10,000 for the charter review and 30,000 for some zoning regulation updates that are upcoming. So the overall increase is 40,000 or 9.4%. But those are due to two main new items.
Reg review and charter review.
Is there a separate line item legal for negotiations, or is that rolled up into professionals?
The way the accounting structure is set is one line item is budgeted, but then as we pay it out of the different, so negotiations, whether it's inland wetlands, finance assessor, everyone has their own line for expenditure. So you would see it in the detail, but we just budget one line.
So it's within,
It's within, yes, it's within there, including the retainer.
you're
and
assuming
then-
different areas have different expenses associated with them, but the 425,
Because you'll see the history, if you look back at the history on the other years, you'll see where the budget, where it's hit in all the different categories, the different departments
Mhm.
versus where it was budgeted.
And you got a line there for FOI that goes from in 23, 20,000 down to 3,500 down to 64. That trend doesn't look like it reflects normal.
At one point, they had to go up to Hartford, right?
Is it the
Was that
830G?
year?
And I think more has come under- I think. when
Oh, so the
Bianca
coverage.
came into office, and spoke to them,
Yeah.
some of this is down.
I mean, I like the fact that it's broken out, but it just doesn't look like it's accurately reflected.
Well, we don't have actuals yet. This will get filled in next year with the
Oh,
actuals.
6,
Right.
Yeah,
See, we have it broken out because we have the actuals,
Yeah.
and but we're in this year. We're not there yet. So
Okay.
once we get done with that, then it'll get broken out. And
Okay.
You'll constantly see the breakout.
so the 2025 actual was low,
Mhm.
by 100 something thousand. And that's actual, like that's really what we spent. Versus.
And likely for 26, we're gonna be low as well, because this is about 7 months into the year and we're at
Okay.
202,000.
That's a-
Try to be
that's a-
judicious in
that's-
using legal. I'm very
Well, no,
judicious
it's a-
about
It's a good
using our
trend,
lawyers.
certainly.
I mean,
look
you know,
at,
I mean,
look at
if I need
20
them, I need them, but
Yeah, look at
and everybody has
2023.
that message.
The town appreciates it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we
the
don't,
tax
you know.
Thank you. All right.
Okey doke. Human resources is next. overall 1.6% increase, which is great. We have full-time salaries increased 2.8%. Social Security went up 4.7% to offset some of that. 401A, this is a 6% increase. So that's, again, we'll see that same trend overall, that 401A is going to just be a higher increase on salaries due to how we had calculated it in prior years. Tuition reimbursement is being reduced by 50%. My understanding on that is because we're just not using it as much. Or we don't expect to have someone to use it in the upcoming year as much. And then, so outside payroll processing is being moved to software subscriptions. That's staying flat. I just wanted to outline that that's where that moved to. And then training is a $3,500 reduction, or 58.3% overall reduction. There's several other things that moved in here, but those were the main drivers. Questions on HR?
So this is also inclusive of that 68,000 software subscriptions that was elsewhere in prior years, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in that outside payroll processing line. That's the cost for ADP. And
I
then
mean,
software
they
subscriptions
used
picked
it
it up.
last year, but it was elsewhere. So actually the increase is actually kind of sort of lower. If you didn't have that 68,000. I mean, it's not like they're spent more in software than they did last year. We just put it somewhere
right.
else.
Right.
Yeah,
So
exactly. I
saying
kept it
it's
flat.
making
Exactly.
it seem like it's a little bit higher, and wherever the heck software was before, that should look lower.
I just go to that
It's
one.
exactly. It's offsetting. So if you're looking at the this page right here that I'm showing on the screen, you
I'm just
have
saying
a
it's better than
negative.
1.6. Okay.
The overall increase is $7,500 for the whole department.
All right.
IT is next. So that is a slightly larger increase, 7.8% increase year over year. We have 5.6% in salaries, 9% in Social Security, and then an 88.3% increase in 401A. That's a tough one. I don't know where those numbers in previous years came from. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but it's going to be 12,751 according to what I can
Like
see.
contingency. It
Yeah.
sounds like
Well,
a
there was
big
contingency, and yeah, and there was an extra position put in there. Was it a year or two ago? So
This is overstating it.
yeah,
Exactly. So yeah, currently in
Yeah.
year 26, we're at
Right,
$6,300 for, about 6.5 months in. So
Yeah.
it looks like 12 is about right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
A
primarily,
third of this increase is again the software subscriptions being
For sure.
allocated.
yeah, and some of those just see whenever Chris does a new program or purchases something, it is allowed go into bonding the first year. And then that software, then maintenance we know it's going to get pulled in. It has to go into operating the next year. It can only be in that year, that first initial year where we put a new program, he puts a new programmer. So we went through and spent a lot of time last year. And then again, this year, going through every contract. What's the year? 1, 2, or 3, 5-year contracts. We have a listing of all of them to make sure we've captured everything in the operating now, because it can't be in capital bonded.
But it's really just a flipping.
It's a
Amy, of
flipping and then
service
it's
contracts
small
to
increase, yeah.
software. It's not like they're getting more money allocated to them. It's just a transition.
above.
Because when you said that, I'm like,
Oh,
no,
no.
it's 1.6.
No,
I don't
okay,
understand.
no, but so that helps because like
Yes.
service.
I thought you were saying, sorry.
Yeah, I literally, after she said last time, I'm like, no. And then I'm like,
68 above.
all right, you're welcome.
Okay.
All right,
Sorry.
That I always thought it was like a new line.
No.
Yeah, so you guys are living a little closer to it. So
Yep.
okay, all right. So
Yep.
forget those earlier comments.
We're on top of it.
So the software, again, we moved it from service contracts to software subscriptions to more accurately represent with UCOA and everything else what software is actually costing us. Major drivers there. There's 3 items that I highlighted. There's probably 40 pieces of software that they have to buy, but we're migrating from Office. They can buy a license for Microsoft Office and you can just have the software. Microsoft has decided to stop allowing updates for that version. So we're being kind of forced because of that to go to the online Office 365. So that's an increase of about 18,000. The Jamf software to manage the iPads that you have in front of you. That's another 1,000 or so added to the budget for next year. That's a new item. And then the Horizon 3s was in capital, to Ann's point before. new software, we can put it in capital for a year, and then it comes to the operating budget. So that's another 14,000 increase. The sharp-eyed and sharp-witted among you will probably have noticed that that's more than the 27,000 increase. Some things came off, and some things are switching vendors. So we're able to find better pricing on things, but these are the major drivers that affect that software line.
So Anne, when we pull on the capital for the software, is it typically, I guess it depends on the dollar amount, if it's tax funded versus bonding, right?
Yeah, so some of Dark Trace and one of the others, they were up with what he was doing was like 80,000. So it wouldn't have hit the tax supported capital. It would go into bonded and go between 3 and 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask how long we
Yeah,
amortize
3 to
this.
5 years. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Town clerk's office is next. I have a lot of line items here. I'm probably not going to go through every single one. This basically was every change that they had in that department throughout the year. There's a little bit of I was moving some things around again to sort of align some of the spending with the actual codes. So that's some of this, moving things from office equipment repairs to office lease rental, or sorry, lease rental to office equipment repairs. That things were maybe not being paid out of the right lines before. So a lot of what you're seeing is that. But there are some significant drivers here. So we've got a decrease in part-time elections, $1,000 decrease or 25% of that line. Overall, though, we do have an increase in Social Security, 1.8%, and then a significant increase in the 401A. We're assuming, again, a couple of the vacant positions, or 1 or 2 vacant positions that they have, they're going to be filled, assuming at a 7% 401 and for those full-time positions. They may not if the employees decide to elect a 3% deferral. We would only match 3%, but we kind of have to assume they're going to do the full 7%. Longevity decreased about $500 due to somebody that was getting longevity pay leaving, and that vacant position is not going to be eligible for it. Yeah, most of this is, again, just moving some things around. We have some increases and decreases here based on the discussions that we had in the first Selectmen meetings in December. But one thing I did want to bring up is I do have from Claudia, I talked to her last week. I do have a request on one line. It's the professional service line. So we'll see if I can highlight it here. There it is. So it's this line that says 4,750. She's actually requesting a $7,000 budget for that for 27 at this meeting. I guess this is the request from her coming through me. And I can give you a quick example of what that is. So that is code or law changes. So generally, my understanding is that what happens there is anytime the town council updates a law, there's a book that has to be printed, an update that has to be put on a website. So the expected cost for 27 that she gave me is $1,295 to update the website. That's if anything changes throughout the year, if any law changes or code changes throughout the year, that $1,295 hits. And then beyond that, if the charter review is going to, the quote that Claudia received is $3,200 for that. And then if there's any other,
is that in the,
That's in the 47.
so that's 4750. You said the charter review quote is what?
3,200.
Okay.
And then there's 2,500 she was quoted for any additional changes that come through that are outside of the charter process. So if there's any other law that goes in, any other codes that gets changed, that's 2,500 is her kind of quote that she received for that. So that's 7,000 to total.
Does that mean you hire someone to like update the, what does that mean? I'm sorry.
It's
So-
one company. Let me see. She sent me an email. Let me see if I can get the company really
It's
quick. It's
yeah.
called General Code is
Can't
the
do
name
it
of the
yourself?
company.
They send it into some company and then they update it in a system and then it comes back. But we've had problems with them before. I don't understand though, because I was thinking it was because of the charter review, but she's already booked 3,200 for the charter revision. I would want her to come and explain it before we move it.
Okay, understood. Yeah, I asked if she was going to be able to come today, and she's not able to come today.
Yeah,
I think
I
there's
know.
a power outage or something.
I wouldn't, yeah.
So, right, it's just but it's a simple, just a simple general code? Because general code is what we use for, all of it.
Right, we've spent 300 a year.
Yeah.
And on that, so, I mean, I get that we have the charter revision, so that's 3,200, but I mean, with spending the 3,200 plus another $300 or $400 for what we normally spend, that's still under the 4,750.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
looks
not
that way to
okay
me too.
with
Yeah.
that, unless she explains it better. Because I don't
Okay.
know why we need 2,500 on top of the 3,200, given what we spent in the past.
Was 2,500 an estimate, Ryan, or is that an actual number that she's got?
I believe it was the quote that she got from the general code company, because
Okay.
they don't know what it's going to cost if we have 8 law changes throughout the year. I don't know what our numbers generally are, but if we have 1, it's going to cost a certain amount. If we have 8, it's going to cost a different amount. I don't know beyond that.
She can bring that to the board of finance if she wants it.
Okay. I'll let her know.
Is the advertising is 6,200? Just, yeah.
Yeah,
She does all the advertising for all the
All that
budget
stuff.
things
Okay.
and yeah,
Yeah, so it's down this year because,
that target.
yeah, okay. All right.
And what's that outside contract services? It's down. Is it up? Is it?
That's being moved to software.
got
So that
moved.
21,000 is going to
That's what Seiko's
22,000.
making the last ones.
Every department, that's the same change.
Yep. That's the consistent one. There was a couple others. DBW had some construction services, things like that. But for the most part, for these departments, it's mostly going to software.
Yeah, one other and this could be just a time thing and time of year. So the supplies and offices, 15,000. We're only at 2,500 this year. I'm just curious, maybe stuff gets
I
backloaded
think
with the
there's
year.
a timing difference on getting bills paid at the moment.
Yeah, they'd be helpful to know. Just because,
Yeah, my understanding, that department's pretty, their workload is high and they're short staffed at the moment. So that could just be they're not getting paid.
It should be fully staffed
they're
now,
fully
Ryan.
staffed.
They're
Oh, fair
fully
enough. Yeah,
staffed
I
now.
haven't been in the office in a little bit. That's fair.
I'm like, no,
No, they're fully, they
staffed.
got it.
So the election, we have part-time elections there too. So I just don't want to, I know we've talked about the part-time help down there a bunch of times. So I want to make sure that that's at the right level, right? We're not going to have to look at that again. Is that, because we have don't we have a contested election coming up?
That's usually in the registrar's
Okay.
office.
All right.
Most of those costs should be in the registrar's, not in the town clerk's department.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah, because you've got two primaries coming probably, and
But I mean, most of that stuff
it's
is
reflected in the.
because what the clerk does is they do the absentees.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they do. The registrar does the early
Fees
voting and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
She's
So
everything.
that's,
Oh, so
They need this out. They need the people on their side.
I mean, I know we hear that a lot, but really the town clerk's office is absentee voting. The
Right.
registrars do all the early voting.
And that's reflected in here. Where is that? So is that under part-time?
It should be overtime.
Overtime?
Is when she has that for the
and
absentees.
And we also have ballots, which would be
Right.
Ballot is the cost of the physical paper.
The pit printing.
Is that
Ballots.
just the absentee ballots or all ballots?
How did we
It is
do
Yeah.
this? Because I remember we were having this confusion when we were going through the registrar, and because at one point we were over budgeting
Think
for
between the
ballots
two.
because both
Yeah,
departments were
all
budgeting.
ballots are in town clerk's office.
Okay.
And we can look at the registrar. We haven't gotten there yet, but there's 12,000 in 2025 actual under their office supplies. And then it's shrunk down to 2,450. So there's about $10,000 that was moved to the town clerk's office in 26 to account for that. So that's that balance line. It looks like it was 13 instead of 10, but yeah, we're at 11.5 to kind of cover ballots for both those departments.
And we only spent 4.6 last election. So I think, until we get a right size budget on these line items, we have contingency that can cover it. These are not right size budgets. I mean, look at where we spent actual. We budgeted 13,000 last year. We only spent 4,600. So, I mean, I think we have places we can go if they're over, but right now I think there isn't a lot of clarity into these, and I'd like to get some clarity on what we're actually spending.
Yeah, I mean, if some of that ballot money could have gone to another area where they needed it, it would have been easier. But
And it's a 50, I mean, it's a 50, their actuals are 25 to even go into their 27 is a $50,000 swing.
Yeah.
and they're still giving back money every year.
Yeah, I think we need to get this
Yeah.
budget.
But that's actually, that's an interesting question. So if the line item for ballots is set and there was more money needed in another area,
Just goes to Board of Finance, just approves a transfer. It's a transfer. It's an easy, it just has to be tracked.
yeah.
And so that's, I think what we're trying to get a hold of is that there's not a lot of visibility into this budget. And so if they need it, we'll transfer it. It just,
Yeah, well, then
We
that's,
need to-
then that's the proper message to send. It's like,
Yeah.
if you need it, then just come ask for it. And
Right, because it's, yeah,
Yeah.
you need it, you need it.
especially, during that election time, because that gets
Yeah.
crazy down there.
Yeah. it shouldn't be that crazy in that office.
Also, it's like the outside services micro filming. I mean, 2025, we did like half of what we thought we were gonna. We haven't done any year to date, and we have this almost
25
3,000.
gov was a backlog.
Pardon me?
It was a backlog.
But we haven't addressed any of it in 2026 because we haven't spent a penny.
Yes, because there's probably invoices that haven't come to us yet, or that hasn't been done, the work hasn't been done yet. But it still needs to be done. The microfiching does have to be done.
But if it's an outside contractor, why doesn't it just get done? You don't have to do it in-house. It's an outside contractor doing it.
I'd have to talk on the management and the overseeing of how that process is done. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if they said we weren't staffed and couldn't do it in-house, but if we've given you the money to do outside, you should just do it.
But that, like with new people there's going to be training involved and like getting up to
Well,
speed.
actually, the
Yeah.
person we brought in is actually a trained, somebody from another clerk office. So there's
Good.
not a whole
All right,
lot of
that's good.
training.
All right.
That's the benefit of that new person.
Good point.
Yeah, but outsourcing microfilming, I mean, you're hiring someone to do it. And
Yeah,
I don't know why that doesn't happen. So anyways,
Well, the message is if
it would just
if you need to
get
come.
good to get it all done.
I did offer to have Claudia come and explain it.
I just don't, like after going through what we went through, I want to make sure we're covered. But it sounds like we're.
Yep,
We
and
have yeah.
and we want to make sure they have the resources, but
Yep.
if we're gonna give them, let's get it done. And other times, like we did, it's much smaller numbers. I understand, but with Public Works, we basically said, yeah, they want to do all this stuff, and we realistically say, what can you get done?
Right.
If you can't get it done, just don't put it in the budget. And it's not like we're not committed to it, but if, you don't have the bandwidth, we get it, so.
Yeah, and I think once
Let's
they make
just not
that,
fund it.
once they make that the last hire that they're going to do from the part-time to the full-time, hopefully that'll.
They're
help.
done, I think.
done?
Aren't we
Are they
done
done?
hiring in there? We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, John went in, remember?
Right.
to Cover, and now she's gonna have. to post
Right.
Right,
Oh, that's right.
Right.
But we have people in there.
Yeah.
We physically have people to do their work.
Right.
He's working.
She's not understaffed.
All right.
Okay. Registrars next. We have a 0.3% decrease here. So some of the drivers here, I did renumber the elections personnel. So that was something that was bugging me. I'm not sure why it was set up the way it was before. There's a $35,000 line that was further down. It was in purchased services, which didn't make a lot of sense to me because we pay them through payroll. It's salaried. So I moved that up to the 5100s just for better tracking and better reporting. So that 35,000 didn't change year to year, and we just moved it from one code to another.
Where is it? Way up top. So it goes
Yeah, up
into
top.
elections
It's
personnel
up top,
and
but
down
where was it
below
before?
in elections
So it's-
personnel.
Yeah,
It's just a
click on this one.
number. It's the same it's the same title. It just moved up.
If you look at the $26 to $27, you'll see there's a 35,000 plus here, and then about 5 or 6 lines down, there's a 35,000 negative. So that's the change.
Yeah. 35, yeah.
Oh, I get it. I found it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's the
Now, I
35
have a
negative
question.
here, moved up here.
I have a
Sure.
question though. I do have a question. So we budgeted 35. So last year we spent 28. We're done with, oh no, when is the summer primary, the date? Do we know? I'm just like,
It's September, isn't it?
well, there's a August
Oh, August.
potentially, if there's how does that work? If there's
Challenge to the governor.
there's September would be the primary, August would be a caucus challenge. So if there's a caucus challenge, that's in August. But that's still after the budget cycle. So I guess there's a July
It's in the budget.
caucus. Is that what it is? There's the July caucus. So there's money still to be spent for the July caucus. That's what it is. But, and would that be for governor? Because we don't have any
But in
local.
July.
You have your
that would-
party
No,
caucuses.
but last year's, that's,
Well, no, I'm talking about for budgeting for
Right,
this
yeah.
year and what's happening this year. Because I'm just looking at elections personnel or I'm sorry, not elections personnel. Where was it? Was the 35.
Yep, elections personnel.
Lexington, further down, under 53,306.
So we only spent 14 year to date. And I'm trying to think what we have left
to get done.
to get done in this fiscal year, because I mean,
I
that's,
see what you're saying.
you know, I mean,
Mhm.
so I just want people to be cognizant. I've already gone through this once. I think
Well, it would be nice to know if we are spending another 20,000 between now and the end of the fiscal year, right?
Yeah.
We 55,000 between part-time elections and elections personnel.
yeah, I'm not
So
going to
between the two, yeah.
Kept it flat. But she didn't.
Anyways,
Yep. So that's those are most of the differences. I put some more things in here, but it's mostly $1,000 here and there. Training increased by $1,000. Canvassing increased by $100, but that's 10%. So that's why it shows up on this list. We decreased postage because there's shipping less, or they're mailing less out the door. And meals and events increased to offset. We found, or at least talking to Liz, they found that the meals were more expensive than we had budgeted for in years past. So especially with all the early voting, they have to feed everybody every day. So that did increase a little bit to 3,500.
Is there any need to, because of the charter, the potential for the charter vote, is there any reason for budgeting any like education stuff or?
That would go under
impact-
charter
impact?
expenses.
Okay, because that, if that goes to a referendum, there's
Right.
there's a lot of stuff that goes on for that too.
But we budget that all in the charter
Okay.
expenses. We want to keep that all segmented.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's postage, advertising, printing, there's some miscellaneous expenses that are in that charter review area that we talked about.
Yep.
Whatever, half an hour ago. So that's registrar again, 0.3% decrease. Building department is next. They're also a good decrease, 3% decrease overall. 3% decrease in full-time salaries. But again, due to the accounting that had happened, we do have a $3,500 increase in the 401A, which is 48.9%. And then we moved a couple things in here. So we moved from professional services. We broke that out into where the spending actually needed to be. So we have technical services, code books, and
Ryan,
software
how did we get,
subscriptions.
sorry, Ryan, can
Yep.
you explain how salaries, we had a reduction in salaries?
I can look in here and then we can talk about it.
With Brian leaving, Scott. leaving.
Oh, right, right,
Different
right.
change in position. Yeah,
Okay,
I had to think of that too.
Yep. okay, thank you.
Levels.
Yeah, it was the building inspector position. Yeah.
Or staff.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So a couple of things again to look at. We did just move some codes around. So those big decreases were the 20,500 that professional services line. 12,500 of that is technical services. 3,000 of that is code books. So the overall decrease to that professional services line is $4,600 or 22.5%. But we did break out some of the code, that code to a few different codes going forward. So again, ease of tracking and things like that. But an overall decrease to that line.
Okay.
Land use. We have some more of those codes that we moved, but overall 1% increase, which is great. 4.8% increase to full-time salaries, 7.8% to Social Security, 5.1 to 401. So it looks like their 401 was relatively accurate. But I did move from service contracts and professional services. We moved some of those things to technical services and software subscriptions. But again, an overall reduction of 30% in those two codes, but it looks a little bit messy on the sheet itself. So we have a $65,000 line that is a $45,000 and $1,100 line, basically. So that's the technical services, and then their software. Software was reduced pretty significantly. They reduced the number of users they had on that piece of software. So it's only $1,100 now.
No. Okay.
Overall 1%. Parking is next. We do have a 5.2% overall increase. So let's talk about it. So we have a 2.6% decrease in salaries. That's due to a retirement that we're expecting any minute, literally any minute. And the new person is probably going to come in at a different salary. But we do have a pretty significant increase in the 401A because of that. So anybody that comes off the pension is then going to be the new person isn't eligible for the pension. So it is going to be a 401A, pretty significant increase for that new person. That's what's happening here. We moved service contracts to software subscriptions again, just $100 increase, but it did move lines. And then we have outside contract service is a $5,000 increase or 20%. That's a ticketing and permitting software. That company gets a portion of the revenue. So if we increase revenue, I want to say it's 12% or something. They get whatever that 12% or whatever that increase is. So we're
So we'll
expecting
see in a revenue account, we'll see this covered.
exactly right. I think the number is 35,000. I can jump to it later, but so a 5,000 increase for a $35,000 revenue increase is basically that offset.
Okay.
Postage went up $1,600 or about 106%. In talking to Stacy, that was because we had tried to go to entirely digital renewals, but we weren't getting the response that we wanted. So we started mailing the letters again, which she says works really great. So it's just postage costs more. We're sending more letters. It costs more.
You basically have to do both.
Exactly.
Otherwise people get upset because they didn't know.
They ignore it. Right.
I remember that.
Voice data is another significant increase, but that's due to the new meters in the terminals. So those all need sort of self-service or something like that to get the data out. So that's an increase for that. We shouldn't see an increase like that next year unless we add more meters, and in which case we will see an appropriate increase for that.
Yes.
And then the banking and transaction fees increased 5,000. So that's coming out basically of some of the $9,000 budget that came out of finance. That's just being allocated to parking.
Okay.
So that's the department, the people that work here. So that's that section completed. We can talk about benefits and insurance.
Just say one more on the banking and transaction fees. Can you say again why we went from? Oh, I said never mind because
Allocated
we're only
from finance.
to date. Never mind. Got it.
Offset to finance
Year to
reduction.
date. Yep.
All right, benefits and insurance.
Benefits and insurance. So as of now, these are the kind of numbers that we've got. So group insurance for the town is a 4.4% increase. The 401A for the Board of Ed, 12.9% increase. That came from Sean. That came from their actuals that are happening, as of a month or two ago. The town pension contribution is a reduction of 21.4%. Workers' comp, 3.4% increase, and the blanket insurance coverage is 4.9% increase.
Is that just because we have fewer pensioners and we're having to contribute?
Transition.
Is that more 401A?
Which one, the
town pension
decrease?
contribution?
Retirees or
No, I mean that because we did a mid-year reevaluation.
Oh,
So they
okay.
came
So
in with
the-
those numbers.
Oh, this is the ADAC. This is the ADAC.
And
Okay.
the fund is doing. well.
Okay. Yep. All right.
And can I just ask on workers' comp and liability, I believe we could move those numbers to 3% across the board.
Okay. I saw your email and I wasn't able to research before this meeting, so I apologize for that.
Okay,
But yeah, so we'll move those to
Reduce
3. That's fine.
Workers' comp and insurance.
to 3%. Those numbers don't come in until March or April, but we usually always fall between 0 and 3. We've
Okay.
never had to go above that.
So
that's the unemployment count.
just the workers' comp down below,
Okay.
insurance liability.
But the unemployment count stays at 6.7.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
perfect. I'll move those 2 lines for before Thursday.
Thank you.
Wait, no, what's the other? I see one, the 3.4. Where's the other workers' comp?
Blanket coverage.
Yep. The last
Insurance
one.
blanket, that 4.9.
Okay. Oh, great. All
that's
right.
good.
All right.
That's that. Then we have some other
Ryan, hold
just-
on one moment, Ryan.
Yep.
So normally with the health benefits, I just give you guys some information on how many people we have on.
Yep.
Larry comes to the Board of Finance. We're in the midst of waiting for a renewal. He is estimating around 2 to 3%. In speaking with Ann, I believe today we are comfortable to bring that insurance number down. So
The group insurance?
the group
Yeah.
insurance.
So what are you thinking we're,
I'm thinking right now, and I'll true it up, like bring it down 200,000,
so what is that in a percentage?
265 to
Oh, so it's like a
265,
flat, almost flat?
based on what I'm seeing. Yep.
Okay.
So currently we have 182 employees and 20 library employees in the insurance. With family members, it's 469. 5 months in, self-funded costs are running us about 2.3, where compared to last year, we were at 2.6. So we're down by about 300,000 this year. This year at this time, we have 8 employees in excess of 50,000 in costs. Last year, we were at 21. We did receive a stop loss payment last year of 600,000, and this year we're still waiting on those numbers coming in. For retirees, we have 56 total, and that is running us about 275,000 a year. Dental Cigna is running us about 360,000. That's 21 library and 184 town employees. And the stop loss is about 1.2 overall.
I mean, is dental available to family? Or
It
just
is,
employees?
yes.
'Cause they-
But there is a cost to it. So we're seeing right now 61 family, 123 single. So we don't see a lot of family, as many family as we do on the medical.
We need a copy of that.
Of my
Summary.
notes, absolutely.
Summary.
And just from a perspective of the ISF, when Cheryl and I were going through it, at the end of fiscal year 25, the town's net added 161,000 to its balance to protect the fund in case we had something. So the reserve in the ISF for the town is about 870,000, excuse me, $870,000.
Well, thank you for bringing that good news, Cheryl. Appreciate that.
All right, Ryan, you can keep going.
Alrighty. Okay, so this is other types of transactions that we have, primarily in between our own funds and things. So we have debt service, other agencies, other outside agencies, town commissions, contingency, and interfund transfers. So debt service, we're leaving flat for now. The Board of Ed technology lease is being eliminated from operating in favor of bonding. So that's why that number looks like a significant reduction, but that 212 is going to go to bonding rather than be in our operating budget. Leave it flat for now, and goes out, I want to say, in March to get those numbers so we can update that. Other agencies, everything has stayed flat other than the transportation for the private schools, which we know is contractual. So that number we had to increase based on the number of students and the average cost per student. Town commissions right now are primarily zero for fiscal 27. There's a $445 line in there for web hosting and things like that for the utilities commission, but otherwise everything's zero at the moment.
I have a feeling we'll get some, between now and the Board of Finance, some commissions
Right.
coming forward.
Sure.
We haven't. Okay.
In contingencies, in the last few years, we had a salary contingency along with our sort of regular contingency. We're combining everything this year. So we're going to have just one contingency line. Right now, that number is at 724,888. That's going to change depending on kind of any change that happens to salaries. Certainly that number is going to change, but otherwise, we can make a decision on whether that 350 is a good number or whether we need to increase or decrease that based on other expenses or revenues. So overall, that's a 33,804 increase, which is 4.9% between those two lines. And then interfund transfers, it's a tax supported capital number basically. So right now we haven't made any choices on the tax supported capital. So that's every project that would potentially be supported by the taxpayers immediately. That's not, we generally would combine some of those items into a bonding group. We could we could pull that from other fund balances if we have the funding available, bond premium, things like that. We just haven't made those decisions yet. So right now it's sitting all in here to transfer to tax supported capital. That number is very likely to decrease pretty significantly, but not at this point. And that's expenses. Any questions on that before we go to revenue?
Oh, you know what? Actually, good. Yeah. Ryan, we're going to have to add, I think I sent something on the
150.
affordable. Well, it's actually more. I sent you another email that's higher than that. It was like 225.
225. That's in capital. Yep.
Oh, that's right. We're putting it in bonding. That's
yeah, we're
right,
not gonna
because it's
affect
so
your-
much. It's in bonding. That's
Yep.
right.
We're going to get to
Okay.
that in about 15 pages.
Okay.
So our revenue summary, again, these are just these departments that we're talking about for general government. This is the overall number, 180 million. All right, finance, a 1.2% decrease in revenue right now, but primarily due to these two items: municipal revenue sharing. In prior years, it was being split between the assessor and finance. Now all of that's just going to the tax assessor. So we'll talk about them in a moment. That's going to look like a pretty big increase to their revenue, but it had been deposited there actually for the last several years anyway. So there's no point in splitting it between departments when finance doesn't actually get the money. We just allocated for it. So we removed it from finance and put it all in the assessor's office. Though we did, sorry, go ahead.
All right. I'm not sure I'm at the right place.
It's just where it was being budgeted and versus where it was being processed.
Okay.
And the state, when they would do CCM, when they'd bring out their estimation, and then what we would get would actually be two different numbers, significantly different. So we're budgeting at the higher number because that's what we've been getting the past couple of years, even though we were getting a lower number from the state.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the rental of property line is a 40,000 increase or 48.6%, but that's accounting for correct accounting for the rental income that we expect. And then we also are closing the rental property fund. So that is moving in here as well.
Yeah.
I combined the assessor and collector on a one page.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
The
Rental?
rental
So
of property,
we closed down the fund because we had there wasn't anything going in there once the whole 220 Elm and everything closed down in that, and Gridiron and all the different rentals we had then. We've closed down that fund. There was some rentals going in there that really should be in operating, so we did a full analysis. Right now, this amount here accounts for the Dance Academy, New Canaan Cares, Chamber of Commerce, library that gives us 10,000 a year. Summer camp Y, it wouldn't go into the self-sustaining, it should go into the operating.
that 15,000 we're talking about. Yeah.
The summer camp is 11,200,
Yeah.
but the YMCA is 15,000,
Right.
that one, and Waveney Care. So now we have it all under one place for tracking, because it was actually going to a couple of different funds and we pulled it into one location.
What about the Playhouse? Where's when?
Playhouse would go
when
into
that
that,
comes
has
back
its own
online?
designated fund.
Okay.
So it would go into, excuse me, the Playhouse fund, or well, the movie theater fund.
Yeah. Oh, because it's more like an enterprise fund.
Yeah. Well, it's a special, you're making me think, sorry. That's a special revenue for us, but it still goes under governmental, but we keep it itself. We keep
Right.
it in its own fund.
Right. Assessor and collector, we combined. There's only a couple items here. The state property rebate, we just talked about that. That's just, we moved it to the assessor's office rather than split between finance and assessor. So that's this number here. And then the tax collector, this is based entirely on the existing expense budget in the system. If this number changes, this revenue number is going to change. But right now it's a 5.5% increase to current tax collections, or 8.9 or so million. That does include the tax supported capital budgets as of now, or as of last week, includes the Board of Ed, and it assumes a $5 million fund balance drawdown. Any changes to those things will change this number.
Right.
That's just where we're at right now.
And you can see we're on the state property rebate. You can see we were getting $101,000, but the budget we were getting from the state was 29. So we're like, we think it's pretty safe to put it up finally. So we're putting it up to what we've been getting.
All right.
Town clerk revenue.
Any risk of not getting that? The state, the I mean, we typically are so conservative. with this stuff.
I don't think we're in a biannual, so I think this year we're good.
Okay.
Because usually when they set that, that's what we're gonna get for the next 2 years. I'll check on it, but I don't think we're up for a new biannual.
All right, town clerk overall 1.2% increase to revenue. Major items here, 10,000 increase to recording fees, 10,000 increase to that MERS or general fund fees. I actually don't have notes as to what that MERS stands for. I should have had.
I was going to ask you, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Municipal electronic something. Oh, no, it's close to the MERS pension plan.
Yeah.
That always confuses me. Let's see, town clerk, it's electronic filing. Let me see. It's not showing up. I'll get that to you and let you know what it is.
So we actually got 31,000 of that in 2025. And then
Correct. Yeah, this increase was more just to get it in line with what we've been seeing.
Why
for
do we
actions.
drop it lower? I wonder. Anyways, and then go back up. Right. I mean,
26, it probably had been sitting at 20 budgeted revenue for a long time. I don't have the budget numbers for 23, 24, or 25, but it likely was 20,000 for those 3 years as well. So
Okay.
just increasing it to 30 to get it close to the actuals is what we're doing.
All right.
And our conveyance fees are, we generally are pretty conservative there, right? I mean, is that because you know, it's 1.6 has been pretty consistent.
But they made 2 last year,
Yeah.
over 2, but we
Yeah.
had some big.
some big projects.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, that's always a tricky number.
I mean, we're
That's it.
already at 1.3 this
Yeah.
year, so who knows, but
That MERS is the Mortgage Electronic Recording System.
Thank you.
thank you. That's terrible that they have the same.
Same acronym, yeah.
All right.
Building and land use, combine those as well. Building permits, we just left it flat. That's been pretty consistent. If there's any major projects coming, they would alert us, but it seems like it's kind of flat for the moment. And the land use, we had an increase of 4,000 or 6.1% for zoning permits, and a pretty significant 40% increase to inland wetland violation fees. Just to record, again, closer to actuals.
I don't. Oh, I see. Okay.
Parking revenue, we expect an increase of 6%. Based on the new meters, basically 35,000 for the new additional revenue from those meters, 12.7%. Again, the piece of that revenue is in the expenses as well, so we have to pay the company that collects that revenue. And then permits, we expect a 20,000 increase to permits, or 5%.
This is where we say we didn't do it for the revenue.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to,
There's an offsetting expense, okay? So like, did you hear that other part of his
I did.
comment? There's an offsetting expense. It's not for the revenue.
And you can only look at the 35, not the permits. Only the meters.
Just pointing it out.
You have to pull both parts out if you're going to. All right.
Insurance liability and transfers. It's pretty much nothing to talk about really here. Again, those operating transfers, that's based on bond premium primarily. Again, Ann's going to go for that in March. There is 100,000 in here for that self-sustaining fund transfer that's going into operating. That had been going in as a negative expense to offset salaries in the recreation department, and now we're pulling it in here to operating transfers in. So that's why there is 100,000 showing here to offset for that other fund, but the remaining 2 million or so is not here. So we'll know that number in a month or two. And any increase to this number decreases the revenue that we need, so that's good news.
Yeah.
Questions on revenue?
All right. Okay. Capital.
Capital is pretty straightforward for these groups. There's not a lot going on. The three, we have our affordable housing committee that Deanna talked about. I don't have a ton of the detail as to what goes into that, but the ask is 225,000, which we would bond for.
It's all for a consultant for drawings and things like that and engineering stuff. So
Well, we definitely.
Next is,
we
sorry,
put
go ahead.
that committee together. We committed to putting some money to it. So, it's,
No, I know we
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
My comment is I would prefer when we bond,
Pay.
that we bond for hard capital,
Right.
not people.
But
So
I guess you could argue that
You
this
can
is.
argue
for
it
de-
anyway. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. I just
it's
don't like it.
development.
overall-
It's
part
like
of the
a,
overall
it's a
cost.
development.
It's like a soft cost
Yeah.
on
Yep,
a
it's a soft
building
cost on,
project.
like,
It
putting a
just-
roof or
It's just,
something on too.
It's kind of over that $50,000 threshold.
which I
is
think is
basi-
way too low, and I've said it for years. I mean, 50,000 does not buy you much now. I mean, you can't buy a car for $50,000. So
Yeah.
that number should be higher.
But we'll see whatever the detail is. They'll come forward with it.
Yep.
But it's a good placeholder.
All right.
IT, they come in, you've seen these two things pretty much every year. We've got IT hardware and software. So that's things that we use locally. And then there's the WAN, which is infrastructure for the overall network. Those numbers have been pretty consistent, a little up, a little down year over year, but they're looking for combined about $50,000 this year.
Okay.
And then for parking, they're looking for 8 machines, 8 parking meters on Main Street. So that number is $90,774, which we would bond for.
So we don't have meters on Main, right? It's just
Yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah.
And now we're going to put meters in.
Well,
Right,
they're
am I correct?
kiosks. They're kiosks.
Kiosk.
Yes, I know, but right now.
Right.
There's just 2 hour, and then if you stay longer, you get a ticket.
This would be
Right.
Main and Locust, I believe, because there's some issues that we've been getting reported.
Oh, people hanging out.
Primarily Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Using that as their
Launch point.
Base.
as their lunch.
But, okay, but to be clear, so on Main, we're.
just to before the library. So to where.
So is it going to change that it will not be 2 hour free parking? You will have to be paying for parking there? Or is it
Right.
going to be meters and you pay beyond 2 hours? Are we
It'll
are we
be like
expanding where
Elm.
you pay?
Yes, like Elm.
Okay.
That's the discussion. I mean, but in
Was that
order
always,
to be
was
able.
that always part of?
It was, we didn't think we could do it on Main
Because it's a state
because it's a
road,
state road.
right.
And then in further discussions realized that you can, because it's not part of the roadway. So it's just a discussion to start. And if we even want to potentially pursue those, we have to have it in the budget.
Okay, so this is a, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't really gotten there, but
That's fine.
because when we talked about it, it was like, well, if you even want to think about doing it, and we have gotten complaints about locust or forest.
Yeah.
Forestry, yeah, no.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of complaints about that. So, and at the time we rolled this original parking plan out, there was no thought that we could even do it. So this is just a placeholder we really need to kind of absorb what we've already done, but if we want to pursue anything
It's a
else.
placeholder. I got it. I just was asking
Yep.
because it was different than,
Yeah,
you know,
haven't really looked
then
at it.
everyone get together
Yeah.
with the new
Right.
parking layout.
Right. Okay, so, anyway, so you have any questions on this? I think we need to go back to Board of Ed. I just had Tucker reach out to, Sean's on. Okay, great. Okay, great. Because we didn't really,
We're gonna go to the cap.
we didn't really get to do capital for Board of Ed, which is the one thing we. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
All right. Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so. So the capital budget is. Capital detail.
White tab to the back.
There we go. Colors. All right. So, guess we just want to go down through, I think in conversations with, the district, there was the ability to remove at East School the 500,000 in the parking lot for East and push that out 1 year in the capital budget. And then, we'll keep the Saks parking lot, the 750 line item is what they requested.
Wait, so East, oh, I see it. Okay.
So So we can remove that push it out, not remove it, but push it out a year. And then in my discussions with Dr. Lutzy, that one point, the PA system. So it's in here at 1.2 in my budget book. I thought you said in my conversation this morning, it was 1.4. What,
I just heard that this morning as well. We put it in for 1.2 based on what the high school was, but we just got an estimate. It's at 1.4.
Wasn't the high school cheaper?
Yep.
The high school was about $1.1 million in total.
in the conversation with Brian, he said that because the high school is bigger than SAC, so I think there was that concern. Why is this so much more? He said that the square footage of the high school, the gym's auditorium space is bigger, and so that's why the square footage is so much bigger. And
so there's more smaller spaces that would need independent ones. So wait, so 1.4.
One instead of 1.2, 1.4. Yeah, this is a lot.
You know, at some point we have to kind of move something around. Can this be pushed off a year? That's a big number.
Is the system at the high school fully operational now?
It is.
Yeah. And in Saks, we did renovate Saks. Well, I guess everything becomes longer ago, but certainly much more currently than we did the high school, right? So the high school we're in 20 years, right? In Saks we're about 10 something. So I'm just throwing that out for people to.
Brian, are you on?
I am now.
All right.
Hi.
Morning, Brian.
All right.
Hope you all enjoyed the show.
Did you hear Amy's
my
comment?
inquiry? So,
no, I'm literally just jumping on. So here.
Okay.
At
if you don't mind.
Saks.
Yes.
At Saks.
I am at Saks. You got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just a query because we heard that the PA system now is projected at 1.4, not 1.2, which is higher than we did at the high school. We know they're different buildings. And the question is, given that the Saks renovation is a lot newer than the high school renovation, is the system we have in Saks, I know it's not this system, okay, but and this system is to do multiple things, but is this something we can put off a year, think about it, a little bit, just in terms of the capital budget, which you're probably going to say it's just going to come back and be again, but we got to balance everyone's needs.
No, I understand. I wouldn't recommend bouncing this one for a year. I think that the price isn't going to go down. It's a larger space when you talk about the number of classrooms that we have and the complexity of it. With the renovation, we didn't update the PA system in the building. We really patched into it for the new spaces that are there, but the PA system itself is quite old, and we've been working to keep it functioning and doing what it needs to do, but you really don't have the ability to zone out certain parts of the building. So now that we've been on 2 different schedules and everything else, but probably over here at Saks is where it probably serves the most important functions in being able to zone out the intermediate school versus the middle school and the bells and the lunches and also the communication piece. As you know, it has that security dimension to it too. So I've looked at the proposal, went through the quote since our last meeting. There's $50,000 give or take contingency that's built into that quote. As you know, if whatever's approved, whatever's unspent rolls back. If we had to squeeze it down a little bit, we could, but I think, it's a significant project, both the installation and the training and getting up to speed. So if this were approved, we'd do the installation over the summer and it would be midway or so until we've got sort of full implementation, and waiting a year means really it's longer than that because of those other timelines that are involved. So I would like to see it move forward if we can, because I think the multiple purposes that it serves, both the bells, the PA, the ability to zone things out, but also the security piece, I think is really important.
And Brian, when we looked at this at the high school, a lot of this is a labor intensive installation based on what has to be done. It's not so much the hardware as it is the labor. Is that correct? Or is there a, I don't remember actually seeing the breakdown of what, the different pieces and components of the quote.
Sure. The labor is a big piece of it, but really there are quite a few components that go into it. You have to run wires, first of all, throughout the system because it does live separate from the existing network in many ways. There's some hardware that has to go in the closet, some networking hardware. That wasn't in the high school budget that we covered by sort of moving some things around in our operating to make that whole. So the high school was a little bit more than what we had budgeted. The system itself, there's 6 speakers or more in each area. And then there's a lanyard with a multifunction device for each person, each staff member. So those hardware pieces do it. I think it's probably 60-40 hardware to labor, if not a little bit more on the hardware side because of the network infrastructure that has to be put in.
Yeah,
it's a bit both.
I do now. Having toured the classroom, I remember there are speakers that have to be mounted in each classroom because of that. There's the auditory portion of it as well that is available.
Yeah, each classroom generally gets 6 or more speakers, and then they sort of talk back to a head-end device that's in each room that then manages the frequency between the lanyard and the speakers. And then also there's a panel on each wall that allows for the identification of an alert. So for instance, if a teacher calls an alert in a room using the pendant, they can then identify it as a medical alert. And so the nurse would know right away and be able to come down with a wheelchair or, whatever else might be going on. So there's 6 different sort of icons there. So the person can, it's a pretty complex system. It also feeds back into a head-end room in the office or multiple ones where they can do the announcements and manage the bells and have the two-way communication to and from the classroom, which if you're at the high school now is something that people are using quite a bit. If they have questions or need something followed up on quickly, they can get right to the office by just pressing the lanyard versus having to go to the phone, call, get the right person on the phone, etc. So it's helping a lot in that way too.
Do you know how many distinct rooms, installations there? I mean, how many classrooms, open rooms, auditoriums, how many spaces they're going to have to address? And I know some are bigger than others. Do you remember how many?
I can't give you that off the top of my head, but I will say that one of the things they do is make sure that wherever you are in the building, it's covered. Right. So if they've got 6 in every classroom and we've got 100+ classrooms, and then you've got more in the cafeteria and the library and the gyms and other areas, and even the hallways, and then there's some visuals in the hallways as well. So if you go to the high school now, you'll see that there are monitors that are sort of up along the ceiling, hanging off the wall. And what those do is that's a visual communication in case of anything going on. If you had to call an emergency, if you had to evacuate the building, if you had to get other messages out there, that's all customizable and programmed. So if a fire alarm goes, it points the way to the nearest exit. If there's something else going on, if there's a shelter in place, it can visually message that as well. And then they're also tied into the camera systems. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the issue with this is that we named it a PA system, and anybody that was in school remembers what a PA system was. It was a microphone and some speakers, but this is
yeah, it was like a bullhorn from the office, right? Right. This is quite a bit more. I mean, there's at least 5 distinct functions that it serves. Right, because you've got the PA, you've got the bells, you've got the two-way communications, you've got the security alert lockdown, call, and then you've also got live translation. So it really does. This Audio Enhancement is the only company with a system like this. So it's a sole source provider, and it's also on the state contract. Plus the installers we're using, both are on state contract. And so we're getting 2 quotes to make sure that it's competitive and it's as low as possible. Although them being on a state contract, we don't have to, but we're doing that just for our own diligence. And we'll see if we can. I'm waiting on the second. I've got the first, and that's where this number's based on.
Are there any enhancements to the SAC system that you didn't have at the high school system?
There are, the high school has 1 main office, there are 2. So there's little things like a second office area, for like sort of a command center and things like that. So there's a little bit extra, but nothing too significant. There is a need to upgrade some of the hardware in the network closets. And there probably was different hardware in the high school closets than in the Saks closets that we're looking at. But functionally, and the system itself they should really replicate each other, be similar.
Is there a high level breakdown on the bid? Like, okay, we got this many speakers, this many lanyards, this many, I'm not saying like every single one, but just so people understand how it builds to the 1.4 or whatever it is, It's like,
Sure.
Often we do the Tigers projects. Okay, how much is how much is design, how much is this, so we know how we get to that number. Because I think maybe it would help people get a better understanding, because it's not just a PA system, but like all the different components you're putting in, and then it might.
Sure.
I would be curious, because it's a big number. It's a big.
Yeah, we
space.
have that. Yeah, because when we do things like this, I ask for itemized estimates. Don't just roll in, X amount for labor, let's say. I want to see what the time is. I want to see what the expectations are, right? So I do have that. It's about, 5-6 pages of individual lines and spreadsheets, things. I'd be happy to send it to you to take a look. Sure.
Great.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to
it
share.
helps with these things that are such big. It helps to build the understanding.
No, you're right. So my father-in-law is an accountant, and he taught me never just accept a number, break it down.
So, can you guys talk about at the high school, the acoustical shells, the 42,000?
Yeah, we a couple of years ago we were able to purchase those for here at Saks in the auditorium, and we tried those at the high school, although they weren't designed specifically for that space, and it made a significant difference. What they do is you set them up behind the stage, so they're on stage, and they literally create like a shell, like half of a clamshell, whatever, that is used to reflect the the music, the singing, whatever, off of the stage to a direction. Directionally sends it out to the audience, right? So one of our challenges at the high school auditorium is the width of the space. When people come in, it's such a big vacant area. It's a wonderful auditorium, but it's just very large. And so for performances, for plays, for choral, for band, orchestra, when they play up there, it's sort of the music gets lost and there are dead spaces and everything else. The acoustical shell sits behind them, and it reflects the music and the vibrations out so that there are no dead spots, and it sounds significantly better. So it's kind of an analog way to approach the issue there with the width and the poor sound quality. And we have tested it to make sure that it would work with the one here at Saks.
And how long have the blinds at Saks not worked? Say Media Cafe blinds replacement, 110,000.
Oh gosh, yeah. If those have not worked for a while, and the sun comes streaming.
I guess I don't remember ever having those closed. So I'm not there anymore. So like.
Yeah, if you go in, there's kind of all at all different levels, right?
Okay.
Because they break, and the mechanism, they're very heavy, right? They're huge windows, and they're very, very heavy. And yeah, they're looking to get those working again.
Are they working? Are they going to be replaced, or are they just fixing what they have?
Replacing them.
Replacing them.
I think they're being replaced. Yeah, I have to pull it up.
Yeah.
And have we looked at like tinting the windows or doing, any kind of?
Yeah, film instead of a.
Yeah, that may be more expensive. I don't know. By the time.
Well, and I think then you lose the advantage of it's a beautiful setup when the sun's not streaming through it, right? So I think they'd be up when they could be, and that gives you the view of the back and the playgrounds and some of the fields. But it's just during certain periods the sun comes streaming through, and I'm looking down because I only have my iPad, so I'm using my phone to look at the budget as we talk. So
Sorry.
Okay.
And the operation of those blinds, the kids can't reach that, can they? How does that work?
No, they shouldn't be able to reach that.
Okay.
Whatever it's going to be. In some places we have some remote blinds now. I mean, technology has changed even in the 15 years, let's say, that those have been there, however long they've been there. So we would look probably to do something that's more electronic and remote.
South School, the 320,000, is that for the gym, the rubber surfacing? or-
That is outside. Yep,
Outside.
that's for the playground. So Connecticut passed a law relatively recently that said whenever you do anything in a playground, if you put new equipment or anything else, then you have to rubberize the surface. So we, as you know, we continually sort of add things thanks to our PTCs and others, and we're looking to start doing that work now. And it is very expensive, but it will be a rubberized surface on the playground. No more wood chips. It's more accessible. It's safer. And that's the plan.
I'm sorry, so does that mean with them replacing this playground, or is that we're using is, I mean, is that going to beget another expense? You know, so
No.
if, no,
Because the playground equipment generally is fundraised by our PTCs.
okay,
Right. So they really are incredible with sort of they identify, most recently, even over at East, we worked with kids and it really developed a plan. And then the PTC went out and did the fundraising and purchased the equipment. For us, it's about the surface. And so if they do the equipment, then we try to do what we have to do on the surface. It used to be wood chips for years, but now the state is expecting us to put down the rubberized surfaces.
yeah, so then we have that at Saks as well, right?
Now, the one at Saks we had, and it's past its lifespan. So we had some money in this year's budget to replace it, but it wasn't enough. So what we're asking for is the delta.
And I just have a question on the high school, because I noticed that the carpeting is new. It wasn't in the 5 year, it wasn't in the 5-year capital plan. I mean, is that something that can be pushed? Because it isn't something we identified last year as something that needed to be done. It's a brand new capital item this year.
Mm-hmm.
Then we can, maybe push a year since we didn't really identify it until this year. I mean, how bad are they?
If I were to pick between the carpets or the acoustical shell, I would choose the acoustical shell.
To push?
No,
No.
to keep.
Oh, okay. So you'd keep the shell and push the carpets.
Because of the function, right? I think the shell will help and be functional that way. And, they're falling apart, but,
Yep. They
And
weren't
if
last year though.
there are more kids walking in and out every day. The program's growing. No, and if there's a way to do something around, some spots or whatever, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
You just, okay. All right. Any other questions?
The one kind of broad question, this is like in the big picture of you, just looking at the entire physical plan for the lower schools. I would say if there are any capital projects highlighted here that might be ripped out in a year or two, I think we should think about that. I mean, I know there's a lot of discussion of what you're going to do, and it depends on the kids and stuff like that. But I would just say, we would certainly hate to be putting something into something that we have to reconfigure in. And I know it's all work in progress, but I'm thinking, rubberized surfaces is all of a sudden we have to use that space for a construction site or something like that. I'm just throwing that out there.
So
and what we do going forward, but just let's think about that really, really carefully.
No, I think that's wise. And so for the last 2 cycles, so last year and this year, we've really sort of scrubbed through the requests from the elementary with that lens and move things. So like you say that with the outdoor playground piece, but I'm not worried about that because kids need a playground, right? So if the school's functioning, that will be their playground and we won't use it for construction. So that will be okay. So we've had those discussions and that has been the lens that we've used to decide what comes forward and what doesn't for the 3 elementary schools.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I figured you did. I just wanted to bring it up.
Nope. I think
that's why pushing that parking lot at East makes sense because of the portables you mentioned earlier. I mean,
exactly. Exactly. That's right.
What are you gonna do?
And then the only other question I have, again, it's in the new category for the district. I see in the 5-year capital plan, we have 100,000 every year for painting, but you added this year an extra 50. So we have 150 this year. I mean, could 100 get you through the year? I mean, I don't know why we have
Well-
more this year than we have in the next 5 years budgeted.
We're coming down from 200,000. So we typically had 75 at the two big buildings and then 35 to 50, give or take, in the elementaries through the
Yep.
year. So we have looked to do that.
So in the
150
operating, I just didn't, I guess it's capital. How much
It's
have we
capital.
spent?
So this is in years past. We had been up to about 75 at the high school in Saks. And
Mhm.
then, 35 to 50, give or take, in years past. We consolidated it into the district
Right.
piece. Um,
Right. I'm just asking, what did we spend this year? What did we spend last year? Did we get through the 150 to, like,
I
I mean,
believe we
I
did,
get it.
but
Okay.
I'd have to check to be sure. But
Let's just double check that
I'm
number,
happy
because
to.
I mean, yeah.
We can look. And again,
Because-
that could speak to Amy's point there too. If we're doing work at the three elementary schools at
Yep.
some point, if we
Right.
wait another year or two to do the painting. The thing is, it's
Yep.
it's very intense work when you do painting. The first things we do are the hallways and the
Right.
gyms and the big spaces.
Right.
But when you get into classrooms, you're really emptying the room. You're taking everything off the walls. It's very
Yep.
time intensive. But we could take a look, and if we have to make an adjustment there.
Yep. I just see we just don't budget that much in the out years, so I just don't know why.
I just remember Board of Finance, we always battled back about painting, back and forth, but you always were doing some at almost every school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was always can you put some off,
Yeah. No,
I
we'll
know.
just look and see. What did we get done this year? We got that much done, and
Yeah.
we did. So, okay. All right. Any other questions?
That's it. I mean, we don't want to stay too long on the PA system, but one of the things that we've talked about is the ongoing expenses of adding these things like contracts, service contracts, software
Mhm.
stuff. How are you experiencing that at the high school so far? I mean, you're probably still under warranty too. It's still, was it a year, Brian, that we had, or?
Yeah, we should get at least a year for the warranty. But one of the things that I like about audio enhancement in the system is there are no there's no annual fee, right? So many things nowadays you go into and you buy it or you start the service, and then you're paying $50,000, $75,000 a year to keep using the service or whatever. There is none of that. And all of the upgrades, everything from the company is all included. So once you're like with them, you're a partner with them and they continue doing it. We get it. I'm not sure if it's 1, 3, or 5 years. I'll check, Stephen. Again, it might be in the quote that I'll send you. But enough time to make sure that anything that is going to fail out of the box, because there's always an error rate, when you go to scale on something. So make sure that that's replaced out. But the ongoing cost is minimal. So this is I know it's a large upfront investment, but it's not an annual subscription type setup with audio enhancement in the group. So I think
Which we see are going up a lot, all of that stuff, so.
Yeah.
we see-
Yeah. So it's really about
Brian-
the hardware and just making sure the hardware is functioning the way it's supposed to.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Brian, I know we're not going to discuss it here, but I think, if you could maybe give a preview of sort of your plan for enrollment and, funding, because that's not in your operating budget this year, sort of, if you could just sort of start to highlight for this board, the thinking around, dealing with a potential enrollment, kindergarten enrollment spike.
Sure. And in the presentation that I had from last week, the last couple of slides outline this, but I'll just speak to it. And then, again, you're certainly welcome to reach out. So as you know, and because I know you're plugged in with all of this, the enrollment projections for next year from NASDAQ are significantly higher than anything we've seen. And that's driven by the number of births, which is higher than anything we've seen. So, and we felt like the most responsible way to approach this was to build a budget on the known and then have a plan for what's unknown. Could happen, may not happen. So the budget that you have flat funds kindergarten and then follows the enrollment projections everywhere else. And then the planning or the proposal is to create a non-lapsing account with the Board of Finance, the Town Council, Board of Selectmen, that would be for the purposes of increased kindergarten enrollment. And in that account, have the funds ready and available for portables if we need them, to move the pre-K if we need them, to hire additional staff and set up additional classrooms, again, for the kindergarten specifically. plan is right now over at East, we run 30 sections over at East. There's 5 grade levels, 6 sections per grade. And, it's a building that really is designed to have a maximum full program capacity of 28 sections. So we're already very tight over there. And we've made some compromises and figured it out. And it's running quite well. And Zoe and Maura and the team over there are doing a great job. If East's total number of sections increases as a result of the kindergarten, then we would use funds from that non-lapsing account to rent portables on the site. And we'd have to add however many staff members are required to meet the need over in kindergarten, right?
So Brian, I guess that's kind of what I was really actually trying to focus in on is that non-lapsing account and sort of budgetary. When will you have an idea of sort of costs associated with, portables, teachers, that kind of stuff?
Sure. So we met with the portable company last week. They came out and toured the site and gave us some ballpark numbers. We've also worked up the cost for the kindergarten classroom and materials and supplies and all of that. So we've got a pretty good handle on sort of where this is all going. As a non-lapsing account set up by the town, if we did have to access it. So the advantage of having one is the speed at which we can access the funds, right? Having it there like we did in COVID, if we need the funds for a specific purpose, we could use them. And then we would report to the Board of Finance immediately afterwards to let them know why we access those funds. So the anticipated start to this, because it really serves 3 different functions. One is the portables. 2 would be if we have to move the pre-K from west to south, there's costs embedded in that, including setting up the classrooms and the playground and just additional other costs that are there. And then if we do have to do that, because with West, we also have other costs at West to sort of get that to where it needs to be because there are those pre-K classrooms we'll be vacating, that kind of stuff. So it serves those 3 purpose at each of the locations, some more intense than others. Going to portables at East, of course, is a significant expense, both in the short and longer term, because you rent them over a period of time. So initially going in, because of the number of variables, we would look to the request would be probably for around $750,000. And then but anytime if we ever need to access that, to again report out as to why, and it would all be driven by that kindergarten enrollment number, because the other sections, the number of sections we have in the other classes or other grades are pretty. We're pretty confident in those. We may go up 1, which is the variability, but we feel pretty good about the rest of those. It's that kindergarten we just don't know. It could be similar to where we've been, or it could be another 150 kids, according to the projections. So that's where so the non-lapsing fund would both do the portables or that move from west to south. It's about $45,000 for the furniture, instructional supplies, equipment for a kindergarten classroom. And then it's the teacher on top of that. So depending on who's hired from there. The portables can run anywhere from about, I don't have the numbers in hand, but the verbal was about 250,000 to 300,000 for the setup. And then we have to get our utilities out there, and we need to make those decisions in April at the latest, like the first or second week in April, to give us enough time to feel confident we're going to be ready to start the school year. So that's where we couldn't wait until the next budget year, and why a non-lapsing account is, I think, the best solution, because it provides that flexibility but doesn't commit the funds until they're actually needed.
So during COVID, when they set this up for expenses related to remediate, whatever we had to do during COVID, what was the mechanism? Like, if you didn't use all the funds, how was that managed post?
Sure. So it's essentially, we call it non-lapsing account, but it's in a fund, right? So it sits separate and apart from. And then when we are done with it, and when COVID was over, and so to speak, and we were back to, we literally closed the account, and the remaining balance rolled back over into the general fund.
Okay.
And we did that through the Board of Finance.
So you would, in this concept, I mean, I'm assuming, just like we talked about with the high school, with all the different, you would provide a high level uses of funds, portables this much, and then I guess there'd also have to be a mechanism of what triggers it. Is it a conversation? Is it a certain number of kids,
Really, it's all, the trigger is the kindergarten enrollment, right? So
yeah.
as we
But
watch,
you
because that
would have
really.
you would kind of say to us, we get a number of this, and
Mhm.
we got to get going in April. I mean, there should be
Right.
something that, because, of course, using this money rather than sending it back. But again, going forward a year, then you start off the year with that much less money. So I have to understand the whole arc of it. But
So actually, Brian, so if
Hmm.
you're talking April, I'm just trying to think about, do we need it? Do we not? So you're
Mhm.
going to know probably by April if we need to do this, which is before we sort of true up the budget, right? Isn't it more in June where you're taking the estimate of the suite? When do you do this? When do we do this suite?
We're not there until we close we're ready sort of August, as
Yeah.
we're looking
So,
at.
I mean, there is sort of like, if you don't need to set it up, we'll know by April if we do or don't.
No, see, what I
It's
would,
October. So
yeah,
you're
see, the
saying no matter
challenge is,
what, you're going to want this year.
I think so. I think that it's for a couple of reasons. And again, the accountability is there, and we're happy to set up whatever layers of communication, et cetera, you think are appropriate, because
Yeah.
the trigger is that kindergarten enrollment. And we need to be able to access funds quickly enough to, sort of commit and make those purchases if need be. It's also very important that me and the rest of the administrative team here actually get some sleep between now and the end of the year. And the only way to do that is to feel pretty confident that we have a contingency plan in place. And I think this is the best thing that we could come up with. The goal is that we set it up, it sits there, and we go through, and our kindergarten numbers are about where they are, and then we're able to close it out, and we get into the year and we're there, if that's how things
Let me
play
ask
out.
you this. I guess, Brian, what I would like to see then, because, we don't really know where you're going to be on this, money that gets turned back to the district, to the town, through the Board of Finance, Town Council. I'd like to see some sort of budget, and, because who knows where you're going to be at the end of the year with your, over under, well, not over, you're under.
Yeah, what if you don't have any of that,
Right.
I mean, really, what if you think you need 750, but you have 250? I mean, then we don't really have a contingency plan.
Yeah. So I think
Well,
we
that's
kinda
just
need to
it. So
get-
yeah, so as you may be aware, the state did change the rules around non-lapsing accounts a couple of years ago, where
Right.
boards of ed can take their unspent funds and roll it into a non-lapsing account up to 2% of their total budget, right? We haven't done that. We don't need that. We've got great partnerships with all the boards in the town. But what we could do, if we do have to access the funds, then as the year's closed out, depending upon what unspent money is there, we can reimburse that amount. And if there's still a balance, that can roll into, that a contingency, a non-lapsing account that can serve as a future contingency and not have to.
I think what we
fund
don't
it
want to
this way.
establish, Brian, is a never-ending non-lapsing account. Because
I completely
I know
agree with
we're
you.
allowed to do that. I don't think anybody is in favor of doing that. I think we've got a great system here, and we don't want a permanent non-lapsing account. So
I
think
agree with you, Deanna. I
Yeah,
don't
no, I
want
know
it.
you
I
do.
don't think it's important to have
Yeah.
for us. I think that it's much better to just use the systems that are in place, because they serve us all very well. Yep.
Right. So I think we just need to kind of work out the mechanics of how this would work, because it really is a this year problem.
is.
If we don't have it, then it's really, there's no need for it going forward. So we really just need to work through the mechanics of what happens with that non-lapsing account, post October, right? Enrollment is closed, and I mean, we definitely have.
That's right. There may be some expenditures, right, as we get into May, June, July. Like there could be, I'm saying April, right? But if there's if we think we're set and there's a surge in July, let's say, of kindergartners, then we still may need to spend money on portables, and then maybe
Right.
a month in, they move out, right? So that's where, but once we get going and the school year starts and, we hit in mid-September, then, the surprises should be minimized at that point.
Right,
Right.
right. So we can have a relook in, your enrollment is finalized October 1. So
Correct.
we can, kind of have a relook and say, is that non-lapsing account necessary or not? And if it isn't, then we can sweep it. If we feel like we're going to need more, then we'll have a discussion through the budget cycle. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
we're
helpful.
just, again, trying to maintain flexibility without overcommitting.
No, I get it. I don't.
The overall plus, it's a really good problem to have, that we still have strong demand for our schools. Other school districts struggle, right? It's just, we got to figure out,
Oh, yep.
how to manage it. And, I'd much rather have this than have.
Oh, yeah.
enrollment
I mean, what a
collapsing.
great testament to the amazing town and school system and everything else that we have, right? That people want to come. And the thing about the birth numbers is that it's not just high in 2021, but 2022, we're also over 200, and in 2023 are also coming in that high. So, I also don't want to give the impression that this is a one and done question. Like, we've got to just keep an eye on it and keep figuring out ways to collect as much data as we can and try to be as prepared as we need to be.
One of the things you brought up, Brian, was the cost of those portables. And, when you hit $300,000 as a rental number, I mean, at some point, you have to ask yourself, how much does it cost to buy these rather than rent them? I mean, if you have an ongoing cost, I'd like to see that analysis when you do the work as well, because it's like,
so I want to be clear.
2 years out of it, you're at $600,000 for 2 years. It's like, that starts to add up quick.
Well, it does. So I think the cost to drop them on site is more than the annual rental fee. So there's more to bring them there, to transport, to get the foundation in place, and to, getting them here, I think might be 3, but renting them might be a third of that. But I've got to get the real numbers. I'll get them to you.
We are getting the rental versus purchase numbers.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Any other?
That's it. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank both guys.
My pleasure. Thank you. All right.
All right. Is there anything else we need to? Oh, right, just regular budget. But so I guess Thursday is the final budget vote for us. So, need to start thinking about what, we
And
need.
Ryan will put all the changes into the.
Yeah. So Ryan, you have all those changes from the, okay,
Yeah, I've got it all captured.
perfect. All right.
Hey, Ann, along that, I'd like a better idea of what our fund balances are. We talked about, it's not really representative here, but where we think they're going to be. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So moving on, we have a couple items to approve today. IT, Chris.
So this is to enter into a contract with Presidio for licensing for Microsoft for each individual device that's connected to the virtual network. Sorry, Tiger, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No worries, bud. It's all good. It's an annual subscription, and Microsoft just started to do this year. So we budgeted for it. We knew it was coming. And they get their $110 per unit to talk to any virtual environment because they weren't getting it before. So it's that simple.
Is this also inclusive of the Microsoft suite, or is this just?
No, this is just Microsoft wants a piece to talk through the virtualization program that we've been using for all those years.
Microsoft putting the tolls up.
They knew that they could do it, and they did it, and they implemented it, and
there you go.
Yeah.
So why is this, I don't know, a little more than $500 more than what the renewal says on my sheet?
48.
I have an 11,048.
Yep.
So why does this say 11,617
I'm not sure where it says it.
on our agenda?
I've got the invoice in my hand.
Okay,
That's why I'm looking
good.
at
So
it.
I'm gonna modify that to say,
Sorry.
all right,
We like it when it goes down.
I like it going down.
We're looking at it.
Memo from, was for 116,617.24.
Well,
All right,
there's a bill, so.
Okay.
okay,
If it is not the other way, I'll get back to you right away, but I'm pretty sure this is it.
okay,
It's good until the end of the month.
all right. Any other questions? All right, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Information Technology Department to enter into a contract with Presidio in the amount of $11,048 for the purchase of virtual desktop access licenses. This purchase is co-termed to renew with all other Microsoft licenses.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, electrical work.
Hey, folks.
Afternoon.
So, meeting about a month or so ago, I met with you folks here to increase a PO for electrical service during electric, and at the time, you preferred that I go back out to bid and get some numbers, which I did. Try to. So we advertised, I wrote up a document request proposal for electrical services. Advertised it on the webpage. Put it in Centennial, sent out a couple of contractors, and received one proposal back from Darien Electric LLC. I asked for numbers based on the licensing of what they're doing. So I don't know what you see on your tablets, but for the price came back for E1 contractor license, it's just $135 an hour, 202.50 for overtime. E2 is a journey person. He's $105 an hour, 157.50 over for overtime. I threw an apprentice in there because he gets $175 an hour, 112.50 per hour in overtime. No vehicle fee, which is nice to see for change. And traditionally markup of FAPCO would be 20% on any parts supplied and no discount. This work is a day-to-day stuff that happens continuously. Down you see, come up to the office, quite a bit of electrical stuff. Everything from when a lamppost gets hit in the street, we got to get them out there right away to make it safe, and then they take it down, they install the new one. Darien Electric's very familiar with our town. They've been doing work for years with us. We have down to a pretty good system for that type of stuff. And any other parking lot lights issues that we have, they'll handle that on a T&M basis. And our general, when we get bad lights or switches in a building, whatever, they're going to handle those things. Anything that's a little bit on a bigger scale, we'll get a proposal from them based on the hours, so we have it ahead of time. Just so we have it, a document that it's just not a free willy thing for them to go do. Also, any work they do for us on a T&M, they'll have to hand in time tickets to me to sign off on. As far as materials, a lot of the materials I buy directly with a discount, and they install them. It's just a lot of smaller things that I don't have, wire nuts, wire, whatever. But if it's fixtures or if it's a lot of fixtures, whatever, I go to our supplier and I get those and they're discounted to me. So, and they're good about that. They don't have a problem with that. I mean, I know a lot of guys count on making the money on the markup, but Darien Electric's been very good over the years and let me buy all the materials either through a state contract, another discounted avenue, whether it be Sourcewell, whoever it may be. So, and he's a small company, and they're here right away. So, I don't know if you have any questions.
Really small question. When you call for someone for service, do they start charging you when in transit or when they get here?
Right now, usually when they get here, they'll start to take it because that was like some of the things with the vehicle fees and what I've had in the past with other contractors. They charge me from portal to portal, and they charge me, for the vehicle. Then they get into, well, we always have to have 2 men on site, and I don't have a choice. It's either it could be 2 E1s or 2 E2s, and it's a different rate. So I've had problems like that before. No, they've been very good to us with how they invoice us, and it's usually when they get here they'll assess it, call me, what have you.
Or they call you and say, we think it's a half-hour job, we think it's an hour job, and then
Yeah,
do
well,
they bill you in like 15-minute increments or something? I'm not trying
No,
I'm not trying to
They,
micromanage
you
this.
know, listen, they don't gouge. That's what I like. These guys, they want he's looking at the big picture. You know, they've done work for us for many years. He likes doing work for the town of Buchanan. He's not going to jeopardize that. If there's ever an issue, there's sometimes I question things. I'm like, this don't look right. He's wide open to renegotiate it and bring it down to what I think is acceptable. Yes, to your point, it's a gentleman's agreement at that point. Listen, I kind of have an idea how long things take, especially in the electrical field. We know how long it takes to do a lamp post. So we don't feel at all that they're trying to take advantage of us or gouging us. And if anything comes up where I thought something took longer, they can explain why it took longer, or we just negotiate it down a little bit. So they're very workable. And what I did was, because we're halfway through the fiscal year, to be fair and keep the rate going, we'll do a contract from now until June 30th of 27. So it's an 18-month contract to keep them on board for this rate. And by the way, the rate is very good for $135 an hour for electrician.
Have any contact? And 20% is like an industry standard. I'm like,
yeah,
don't know. I don't know.
Okay. I think those are pretty good rates.
Okay. All right. All right. Any other questions?
Thanks. Thank you for shopping around. And we didn't get anybody else to look, but at least we gave it a shot, you know, so.
All right.
We'll follow the policy and we'll do it. And we try to get other people to bid things, but in some cases, a lot of guys don't like doing small work. They just want to go do the big jobs and not deal with the nickel and dime things. And I have a guy here who likes doing that, and he's here, he's available, and he gets it done.
All right, with that, if I could get a motion to approve a request from the Department of Public Works to enter into an agreement with Darien Electrical LLC to provide electrical repairs and upgrade services. This agreement will terminate June 30th, 2027.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Be safe, stay warm.
Yeah, you too. Tree warden.
All right, so this is our first bid of the calendar year. So Bob went out to bid for 10 separate locations. We received 5 bids back. Our mandate to have them have a minimal number of bids is actually working quite well. So these ranged in price from $13,600 to $26,800. Olmsted Tree came in at the low bid at $13,640. The only items of note, we have a couple of trees being removed at Waveney, but they're all either dead or dying themselves, and then we'll have the stumps ground. And then unfortunately, we had a tree fall in the Carter Street Cemetery, a sugar maple that took out several headstones. So we're in the process now of working through repairing the headstones and having them reset, unfortunately. But they'll come in once they get the tree out of the way and get the tree off the headstones. Then I'll have my guys come in there and try to right some of them back, and then get someone in to repair any of the ones that were broken. But we have capital money for that set aside. So, and then in our budgets meeting, I had told you that he had, from 24 to 25 calendar year to calendar year, we were very close to our number of removals and stump clearing and pruning. We average about 200 a year. Last year in 2025, he took down 223 trees. We average about 97 stumps. He did exactly 97 stumps, and we average about 50 trees pruned. He did about 58. So 25 was a pretty good year for calendar year wise. Was a pretty good year for the tree service. I don't know if you have any other questions.
No, thank you.
Nope. You. So if I could get a motion to approve a request from the tree warden to enter into a contract with Olmsted Tree and Shrub Care, the amount of $13,640. The project entails the removal, pruning, and stump removal of various trees in town.
Someone.
It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. And then you have the tax overpayments on your tablets. And for all motor vehicle taxes. So if I could get a motion to approve tax overpayments that are on your tablet.
Someone.
Second.
It's unanimous. Selectmen's comments. Just thank you to both the DPW, the highway guys, and the parks guys for all the work this weekend. And I guess we're not done. Next weekend looks like another
Right, it's crazy, huh?
Oh, my goodness.
If it's the weekend, it's gonna snow.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of weeks in a row now.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It's gonna stay
It
cold.
has. So
Yeah.
thanks to all the guys that have been sort of trying to keep and ask for the community's patience. There's a lot of snow to be moved around, and we've got priority areas and then secondary areas. So people need to be patient as we
Right.
try to respond to all the snow. And
There's an old saying that, we do a really good job about warning people during snowstorms, stay off the road. But the danger is now when people are starting to get out again, they're walking. I've seen people walking in the road, running in the road, riding, they're doing things that they normally do. And it's difficult. Yeah. As a driver, you have to really pay attention. And the snowbanks are so high that you have a lot of blind spots out there. So it's pretty dangerous out there. So hopefully everybody will take it easy.
okay.
All right.
With that, if I could give a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's unanimous. Thank you.